And welcome back to Scout Talk, everyone. Today's episode, we got a lot to discuss, very little time to squeeze it all in, but we're going to try to do our best. Patch 15 is here. Tons of notes, tons of new changes, new content. We'll talk about all that. The changes that weren't mentioned in the patch notes, we'll talk about. Then we're going to talk about some of the, kind of like a news roundup, get everyone caught up. Don't know how much time people have had to play the wipe. Maybe you haven't had a chance. We'll give you some of the updates on ongoing changes and events, etc. And maybe if we got some time at the end, I'll talk about Arena. I played Arena finally, and I'm mad. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we got time.
Yes, lot to talk about, lot to discuss. I have obviously been playing a lot. This is the point of the wipe where people come and be like, "Oh, you don't play 3 hours a day. You play a lot more than that." And I'm just like, "Yes, it's the first week of the wipe. Like, give me a break." But anyway, I've been playing a lot. Obviously, I'm like, when I'm not playing, I'm doing YouTube stuff. When I'm not doing YouTube stuff, I'm playing on stream. So I don't know how much time I've put in, but because we had Twitch drops, which are still ongoing, which we'll probably talk about in a minute. I decided to front load mine and do them Friday, Saturday. So at the time of recording, today is Sunday. So yesterday and the day before, which was a bit insane, to be honest. Starting at like 2 p.m. my time and finishing at 2 a.m. because it's a 12-hour thing. Like it's much better this way than it used to be. They used to have a 24-hour period where you had your drops in, and people felt kind of obliged to run the full 24.
Yeah,
which kind of sucked. And a lot of people complained about it and said, look, it's just not good for people, right? Like you feel like you have this like one opportunity a year to get, I don't know, 10 to 100 times your viewership, depending on like what kind of raids you get. And if you like decide not to do that, like sure, you could just go to bed, but you're like, you're leaving like a bunch of either money or reach or whatever, so stuff that you just don't ever get access to. So people kind of felt like beholden to stream the full 24 hours. So now they do them split into kind of 2 sets of 12, which is like a lot better. And this year, BSG, because BSG's drops have always been kind of notorious. They had this like list, the streamer list, and people were just like, I hope I get on the streamer list this year. And basically all you had to do was like ask Apple. That's how it used to be. You just had, you just had to know to just ask one of the BSG staff to go on the list, and they'd usually put you on if you were like streaming. But a lot of people were just like, oh, I hope BSG noticed me and like put me on the list this year. It's like, it didn't actually ever work that way. Like you had to just like ask them. It was like really weird. Anyway, they fixed that because that was really dumb. They fixed that now, and you applied for it manually, and you applied for 2. They had it like automated on the website. You applied for 2 different slots, and then they reviewed everybody's application, and then you got an automated email basically saying like, "Oh, you've been accepted," or "No, you haven't been accepted." So that was a lot smoother and a lot cleaner this year, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm kind of fortunate. I'm kind of glad that my drop stays are done. Like it was good fun, but 2 12-hour streams back to back is pretty rough, especially when I was trying to make a video like each day. Like one in the middle between the two was just like, oh my god. Trying to do that, I was like so stressed trying to get on for the drop. I was like, I'm not even going to get on at the time the drops were starting if I don't hurry up. I had the video was like rendering like 10 minutes before the stream was supposed to start, and like I was like, I'm not actually comfortable posting this. I ended up like watching it on stream with chat being like, I need to just actually review this video that it's not screwed up, because I was like slightly like scarred from the previous day where again I was kind of rushing because it was just so hard to get that much edited so quickly. And I uploaded it all, and then I was like doing the very like final review, and like the last 3 minutes of the video had like no music in because I'd cut the fade out in the wrong place, and I was like, no, and I had to like re-render the whole thing, re-upload it. I was just like, oh my god. So yeah, it's been a bit nuts. So things are going to calm down a little bit from there, but yeah. So that's like 24 hours in the last like 48 hours of playing EFT, and then. So about 6 hours for the other days. So, it's quite a lot. It's like maybe 40 hours of EFT in the first like 5 days or so. Like today is day 6 of the wipe. I've played 87 PMC raids, and I got myself so far to level 24, which is probably the highest. It's probably the quickest that I've been getting up to this level. I was actually quite surprised because I was just like looking through stuff, and then I was like, oh, I'm Peacekeeper 3. I didn't even realize. Which is actually a huge, like to leap to the Peacekeeper 3 so early is like a huge milestone. It just helps a lot, like being able to make the content as well. That's why I wanted to do the drops early. But yeah, no, I didn't even play any arena. I literally haven't played. I've played 1 game of arena just now to try and get the freaking thing to sync, but we'll talk about that, another time. So I tried to get that to sync up, but other than that, I've not played any arena. So that's all just like regular EF team. So it's been good so far. Have you played any actual like regular EFT? Or have you just been playing Arena up until now?
I just played Arena.
Yeah.
I haven't played. I kind of want to play, but also like I just don't know if I want to do another effectively solo wipe. Like I mean, I liked doing that and like having the extra challenge and stuff, but I don't know. It's in some aspects doesn't feel like a lot's changed with this
I kind of
particular
agree.
Tarkov patch. And I don't know if I just want to like do another Tarkov grind and stick in for the long haul, and kind of just like when I'm in my head, I'm thinking it would be fun to play, and like I asked a couple of my friends, but they're like, nah, I don't really want to play Tarkov. I was like, okay, but in my head it would be fun, but then it's also like, do I want to like force, like really push myself to do this thing, and then one like a big update comes out that I really, am like comparatively more excited to play, like 1.0. I would like to play 1.0 and see what that experience is like, like this is the finished product in quotation marks, asterisk, parentheses. And yeah, I don't know if I'm like ready to burn myself out. So we'll see. I might mess around a bit. I don't know. It's so up in the air for me right now.
I can understand that. I definitely can. Like as you said, I don't think that much has actually really changed. Like there's some different focuses in this one, but we haven't really had like factories changed a bit, but we haven't had any like massive map changes. It's like there's a couple of new guns. We've got like a few new mechanics, but it's not like the armor system has been introduced or the 12.12 like ballistic system changes or anything like that. Like
it's not the recoil rework.
All the recoil rework, it's just not the same as some of those other patches. So like I can totally understand that. And I think like it's almost an interesting patch to try to just dip in and out of Arena kind of thing, because I've like heard a lot of people saying that Arena is actually good. Even and some of the people who are is kind of like biggest critics as well. Like, even people like Trey, right, who are just like hating on Arena. But like I've seen some tweets from them being like, "Hey, this game's actually good now." And so I think that maybe if you're not like committed to doing the full wipe, then you can just do that and play like bits and pieces of Arena instead and get your progression there, because it's like much more like appealing these days than it used to be in terms of like what you get and the progression system. But I'm sure we'll go through that in a little bit. So the patch itself, I mean, we're not going to go through literally line by line, because we were talking about this before, and there's so much. Yeah. There's so much in here. So we'll use the patch notes kind of as inspiration, and we'll just talk about like each topic like broadly. So the first one that they had in the patch notes was the factory rework. I think it's really cool. Some people don't really like it. The biggest criticism that I've seen so far is the lighting. A lot of people are just like, oh, it's like really dark now. I think for me, the contrast of factory is now extremely high. So there's some areas that are really bright and some areas that are really dark. I think it's fine, and I feel like it is sort of thematically fitting more into the way that EFT works as well. The way the other maps work, it just kind of looks more like the other locations. So I think it's pretty good. The underground section is like much more interesting. Like the map's now just way more interesting. You can go underground in Office from one staircase to the other, for example. Like things like that. There's a ton more flanks. Like the upstairs bit is much more extensive. There's actually loot on the map now. Like I think this is probably one of the best kept secrets, because not really talked about it too much. I keep talking about it, and people in chat keep being like, stop talking about this, stop talking about it, because you can get like there's a ton of loot on factory now, like, and especially toolbox loot, which right now is like extremely expensive. So like factories, like I used to scout factory anyway, but now it's just like loads of loot. But yeah, it's cool because the whole middle section kind of feels like it used to, like it's broadly the same, but then you've got the outside areas. It just feels a lot more atmospheric. It feels a lot more like like the raid series, than when they have the fights in the bathrooms in the raid series. Like now it feels a lot more like that, because you've actually got the PMCs, because they started putting PMC bodies around on different maps, right? Like on Streets of Tarkov and then on Ground Zero, and now you have that on factory as well. So yeah, it's good. It's really good. What's your favorite bit about it so far? Have you like checked it out a lot, or I guess you've seen it a bit? But
yeah, I've seen it a bit. I mean, I think it looks really good. Like I don't even. It's like the old map's quality was just so. I don't know. It just definitely was like kind of dated. Whereas this, like the lighting itself, like it's actually interesting. You talked about the darkness of it, because I booted up in game now on the cast and then like a little bit prior, and I looked at my post effects and everything was maxed out, like brightness, contrast, and I don't know what settings it's grabbed this from because I don't think I used like max brightness before, but it looks, it looks good. And then when I cut off post effects, it looks awful. But like specifically the lighting, like if you remember the medical tents, and the newer expansion area, now it's got this like blue or purplish UV lighting, and the way it's like reflecting off the different materials and like the shader that they're using to do this or whatever, like it looks so much more realistic, believable, and just like aesthetically pleasing. Like I know this is like baked shadows here, but like it still just looks really good, really well. Like the lights and the older areas, new areas, like so much more better. It's good.
Yeah. One thing that's like actually quite cool that I like about this new map is the way that they've actually fitted it in now. Because before we were like, well, Factory didn't really fit into the world that well. Like we knew where it was on customs, but you couldn't see outside anywhere. Like it didn't really seem to like, and then they did the expansion, so it didn't really fit with the old map. But if you go outside into one of the other areas, you can actually now see the two big towers of Factory outside. So the two big towers of Factory are actually not Factory itself. That's just like, next to Factory. This is like a warehouse near that Factory building. I think like the two outside, the outside areas are pretty cool. There's like, I think there's two or three. I'm not sure. There's one in office. There's one at the back over kind of by like the forklifts area. And then I think there might be one more somewhere else. I found one by accident.
Interesting.
Which is quite bizarre. There's I literally just this one I think. There's like some new quests for Factory as well. I literally just did. I was trying to get Arena to sync, so I just did like a very quick game. And I was trying. I was like, well, I may as well do something. So I went to do this new Factory quest, and you have to go to the crashed helicopter that's like coming in through the roof.
Oh,
which is pretty fun.
Wait.
So there's like you have to go and like what?
You can get on top of the roof?
No, it's in like the helicopter. It's in the rafters.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's in the rafters on the other side, but it's over sort of like looking over Med Tent. If you go to the other end, then there's that helicopter, which has always been there. Lots of people didn't even realize it existed because gamers don't look up, right? And there's a like flight log book in it that you have to go and get. And I went to go do that this morning. And that was cool. So there's like a couple more tasks in Factory, but no, it's good. I really am enjoying it. It's fun.
Oh, cool. Wow, they really
but
expanded.
The Skybridge is like so much longer. Yeah, it's like it's really expanded out, and there's like a bunch of roofs at the back that you can get into. Like you can actually get out into that courtyard that you're at the moment.
What? I did not know that.
There's some medical rooms, which are kind of between how do I even describe it? It's like basically under where you're stood now, like next to the helicopter.
I've seen that.
There's like these new medical rooms. They're kind of like medical labs in there, and there's like a couple of different med bags, and then you can like climb out the window, and there's back courtyard section. Like it's cool. It's really good.
Oh, that's so cool. So, you can like, oh my god, I'm on the helicopter.
Yeah, I tried to get further up, but I fell off and like broke both my legs in offline mode. I couldn't get on top of it. I couldn't find a way to do it. I'm sure Stankrat will find a way.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, just again to reiterate, like the textures on some of this stuff, like the yellow on the
you've gone silent again. You remember we had this issue last time?
Yes.
On Discord where you went silent.
I don't think it's a Discord issue.
I can't hear you again now. Should we swap over to Skype again?
Why would it be Discord? Oh wait. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, why?
Oh, I'm holding V. I'm holding V for flashlight. And that's the mute Discord button. Like it's a hold button.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad it wasn't an actual problem. Good.
How did that happen last time? I don't know if that's related to last time though.
No, I think last time was something else because last time I was getting muted and I'm not touching anything.
Okay.
For sure.
Let me change that real quick, or maybe I just don't use I don't know. Okay. Anyways,
well, that's a good time to talk about something else, which is the PSG reset all of our freaking keybinds without telling us, which is like the most irritating thing. I forgot to take a copy of all my keybinds. There is actually a file that you can get, like controls.ini or something, and you can go and copy that, and then you can just paste it back over, and then it keeps like most of the stuff, and then you can just change the things that are unbound. I forgot to do that, and I was like, it'll be okay. We'll just like get into it, because I'm always like super scared about the backend server, the item server. That usually is the thing that goes down on the wipe, as opposed to the game server. The game servers are not like, if you can get in early this time. So last wipe I got completely shafted and couldn't get into the game on basically the first day. This time I got quite lucky and managed to get the download before everybody else. So I was in the game before most people, and I just like forced my face into the queue instantly, because you almost like you get a game almost straight away, because the game servers are like got nobody in them. Like the login server is completely overloaded, the item server is completely overloaded, and the game servers are normally fine. So I just like forced my face right into the ground zero queue, like as soon as I loaded in. I pretty much just like alt clicked on like a bunch of gear and just went straight in, only to realize that like all of my controls had been like messed up, and I like couldn't even crouch. Like I couldn't change my gun onto full auto. Like it was terrible, right? And so I went and tried to find a safe place to go, crouched myself, like lay down by a car, and somebody literally pathed like right behind me and ended up killing me, like on the very first raid, because I was like, I hadn't got round to changing my full auto keybind yet. I was still trying to get all the others set up, and I was like, you have to be kidding me. So I died with like the MDR, like the Cry AVS rig, like TC2000 helmet, like literally, because I use all that good stuff as soon as I can early to get an advantage.
Yeah.
And I died with all of that stuff because I had my M4 on like semi, because I could not change it, and I was like, it was so annoying. So that was like a really irritating first raid, but like I kind of got it set now. There are some weird keybind changes. Bipods obviously have their own keybinds, and they've like changed the way that flashlights work as well, which like took me a little bit to understand. There's now this like press or hold thing. You now can like change the mode on tactical devices, so that it's basically like the equivalent for flashlights. Because I didn't get this for ages. I mean, maybe I was being thick, but like for anybody who's confused about this press and hold thing, it's the same as like ADS. So ADS press, or like toggle ADS or hold ADS. It's like that, but for flashlights. So you hold the button and the flashlight's on, and you let go and the flashlight's off, kind of thing. Yeah. So you could just like clear a corner with it and then have it turn off. You don't have to like be constantly keep clicking the button to have it on off. You could just have it like on off on hold instead, which is like the new system. But it's like that was a bit different. It took me a bit of time to figure out, and then we've got the mounting key as well, so you can like go near a corner and like mount your gun on it. It seems really unuseful to me. It only seems to really work on like the left side, and like I think just peeking is better. I've hardly used actual mounting on like non-bipod guns. I haven't found a use for it yet.
Yeah, I actually haven't tried that yet. I don't even know what my keybind is for it. I messed around. I went down so many miscellaneous rabbit holes, but I was going to try to grind out Arena this wipe, and in that process reorganize my keybinds.
Right.
And I I did it for a little bit, and then I went down these rabbit holes. I'm like, oh, what if I rearrange the keys on my keyboard? Because I've learned that keyboards come in different profiles, like keycap profiles, and they have, some are ergonomic, some are, basically all the same height and shape and everything. So I don't know. Anyways, because you know about the upside down space bar, right? Okay. So like, assuming you have an OEM profile keyboard, it's got like a little bit of if you look at it from the side, it's got a little bit of a curvature to it, but the space bar kind of like leans like forward a bit, like it's like I don't know, but if you flip it, then it's like slanted inward, like towards you, but down.
Oh, I see. Like you turn it the other way around. Yeah,
exactly. And then your thumb, it's like a lot smoother to rest your thumb on it, I guess. And I did the same for the Alt key, because it basically has the same effect, which like feels really good. But I was trying it with like other keys, and it was, I don't know. I was just getting really like, I moved my ZXCV row to like 1, 2, 3, 4, and put those down by where ZV.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I was cooking Giga. But anyways, I stopped. It's like, this is too much. So yeah, keybinds. What was I gonna say? What was the bipod one? Toggle bipod. Ooh, I'm just gonna put that to B for now. That's not B.
So you've got like the toggled bipod, and then you've got actually like use the bipod.
Oh.
So there's two separate keys. One opens and closes the bipod, and the other one activates as in like puts the gun down on the thing that you're near. Now, my experience with this so far is that it is very difficult to actually get the bipod to mount on stuff. Like even if you're like prone on some rocks on shoreline, for example, it's very, very hard to get it to actually do it. You just get there's a little logo next to where your stamina bar is and your stance down in the bottom left. There's a little bipod thing in red that comes up when it says I can't do it. And I had a fight with a guy on shoreline, and I was like desperate to try and use the bipod, and I was like going prone, like pressing the button. I just like could not get it to activate. I was like, this is so annoying. Like, why can't I just use the bipod? Freaking hell. So that was actually kind of annoying. So far I've not really been able to use the bipod. It's not something that it's letting me do.
What is the key, or what is it called to like just mount onto a surface, like a corner?
It's this. I think it's the same button. So I've got mine on. Let me find where mine is. Mine is called. Oh, where is it? Mine's called Mount Weapon. It's beneath like walk pose and above reload. It's actually directly above fire.
Oh, see it. Okay.
So that's the one that allows you to put a bipod on stuff and also use a normal gun and like mount it on a corner. For me, I could only get it to, I haven't tried with it extensively. I could only get it to work left side. I couldn't get it to work right side. But that might have been the specific place that I was in. I was doing it on Ground Zero and there was like a box behind me. I haven't really tried it since then because like even just from seeing like the left side version, like you're pretty exposed. Like it doesn't really help. You're like lent it, you're like, it's kind of like you're holding the gun normally and your like right shoulder is like lent in against the wall kind of thing. So you're just like out there on the corner. Like it doesn't seem to freaking help. Like you're just going to die.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean?
It plays an animation. I was not expecting that.
It does play like a very short animation. It probably should be a bit quicker. And you can move away from it relatively. Yeah, it is weird. You can move away from it as well. So it's not too bad, but it's just kind of strange. It's okay. Like if you want to hold at a specific angle, and maybe it's okay, but you can't left peek with it. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think you can do like left side. It's only right side. So like you're pretty exposed, and I couldn't get it to work on the right side. Like maybe you can try somewhere that's got like a really clean corner. But no, you can. Okay, you can do it. You can do a right peek with it. Good. Can you go like how far round can you look? Can you like look right into the building with it, or
this is my
is that
angle.
As far as it goes? Yeah, so like the angle's kind of limited too. Like it's just awkward.
Yeah, the other thing I'm really not liking is my character's leaning. Like when I get off of it, my character's leaning.
Oh yeah, that does happen actually. Yeah, you're right.
Which I have hold for lean, not toggle. So it's like, why is it? Like I don't know. I don't like that. It's very annoying. So I have to like untoggle it by tapping the lean key. It's just I don't know. It's I don't know. I'd have to play with it more, but I'm not too impressed thus far.
Yeah, it's a bit mounting. Odd. I don't think many people are really going to use it, but I don't know. We'll see. Bipods themselves, I think they probably do have a use somewhere. But you kind of like have to be in a good position to do it. Now, let me just like be clear about this. Like the bipods themselves and the actual functionality of them. If you're in a position that's good, like maybe at the top of dome or somewhere like that, like the bipod recoil reduction is insane. It is absolutely insane. Like negative 80% recoil is outrageous. You can just like full auto through TAC 30s with like an M4 at like 200 meters. Yeah. Like. Or voodoo or something. Like it's not. You could just beam people.
Do you know if you get any reduction for mounting?
You get a reduction for mounting. I can't remember what it is.
It feels like it's so insignificant. I can't even tell with this MDR currently.
I'd have to like try it and then compare the two like recoil profiles or whatever. Like somewhere that's easier to check. Yeah. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, so that's the keys. The keys are a bit different, but like it's I don't know. It's okay. I like that there's more options at least. Like if you want to play kind of more tactically. I just wish that it worked a bit more cleanly. I think that's the issue for me.
Yeah.
Right? If it worked more cleanly, it'd be fine. But like, yeah, you can't like slice the pie right into a room using the lean bit. Like the bipod thing doesn't really work if you're like near anything like rocks or anything else. It's just like, no, I'm not going to lay my bipod down. I'm just going to like have you just hold it in midair, even though you're like prone, like lying on a rock. It's just a bit awkward. It's a bit like the way prone is now. You know, you can't like look up enough if you're like lying down, which is I kind of get it, but from a game perspective, it just feels like kind of clunky. It's just tricky. It's not dynamic enough. This is the problem. I just feel like it's not dynamic enough. You're better off just like lean peeking and circle strafing.
Yeah, I really don't like that it plays an animation. Like my character just moves into an animation, like physically moves. So that part I also don't like because it's like
it should be really swift.
But I just feel like it shouldn't. Like my character shouldn't reposition automatically. You know what I mean? Like that. It's like it's taken the control away from me to player, and it's like I'm on a roller coaster. Like I literally just pressed a button and I'm turning here. I don't like that. That part I really don't like. That yeah. I hate to say this, but realism modern PT did better. Anyway, so moving on. No, one thing I did want to say about the bipod, I'm glad that they gave it such a big reduction because I think that's going to make for some fun. Like it's a big trade-off to go prone or I don't know if I guess you can like still get box. And you still get the full 80% if you do that. You know,
can't remember. I don't actually. I mean, it seemed a lot. So like I did it in the hideout on the table, and it's a lot of recoil reduction.
Either way, I still think it's like that's to me being stationary is a pretty big trade-off. So I do feel like getting 80%. You know, I would. It may be too high. I don't know, but I would rather it be higher than like lower. Because what? Don't you get like 60 while you're prone? Base?
Yeah, some say 50 or 60, something like that. So it's already quite a lot.
Yeah, so I like that because I encourage people to get a big 100-round drum mag, slap it on, get a bipod, and just go to town with an 8x across the map. It's a lot of fun.
Yep. Okay, so that was factory plus like some keybind stuff. The next one on the patch notes, so the next topic is Partisan. I've actually yet to see Partisan. We're still pretty we don't really know that much about Partisan right now, other than he appears, he just fights you like a normal boss. He sets tripwires down somewhere. You can de-wire the tripwire and like get a grenade out of it or something. He's just aggro to everybody, but apparently he's supposed to hunt down low karma people. But I guess so far no one's had the chance to get low enough karma for that to be effective yet, so we don't really know. He has some relatively good ammo, and then PMC karma itself. There's a weird noise that plays when you go prone in a bush and you lie there for too long. If you kill a teammate or if you disconnect from a raid, you get like a dun kind of. It's like a low sad cello note or piano note or something when you do these things. So presumably, and it's quite funny. I know I'm quite pedantic about this kind of thing, but people in chat being like, well, we know that you lose karma when you lie down in the bush. I'm like, you don't know anything, actually. You know that there's a sound that plays when you lie in the bush. That's all you know. You're assuming that means that we lose karma. BSU may not have implemented it. Might not even be in there. You're not looking at the game's code. You don't know this stuff. Stop saying these things as if they're fact. It might be the wrong way around. You might gain karma with the sad noise. Who knows, right? You don't know. You're making an assumption. So we just have to, with these new features, we just have to be very careful not to assume that the queues, if the game was designed in a sensible and good way, then you would assume that a spooky sound, whatever, means that you're losing PMC karma and Parmesan, as everyone's calling him, might come after you.
Parmesan.
Yeah, that's what you would assume. But who knows when it comes to BSG sometimes, right? So we can't 100% tell. I never say we know that this means this at this stage because it's just too early. But so people are a bit afraid to lie in bushes in case Partisan comes after you. But other than that, there doesn't really seem to be we don't really know anything else. He's there. He's on 4 maps: Customs, Woods, Shoreline, and the other wooded one, whichever one that is. And
Lighthouse.
Yeah, Lighthouse. And so he could be on those maps because he likes to wander around in the woods because he's kind of like Jaeger's more stabby brother or something. Not his actual brother, but he's like a compatriot of Jaeger. Who we know is like a massive sadist anyway. So they're both just like weirdos together. One guy's like laying traps, the other one's making you get thirsty. It's just how it is. So yeah, but Partisan's he's pretty like, I don't know, small part of this patch actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, one thing I'm confused about is you mentioned the sound thing for Karma, but my understanding too is that, and I've seen some clips, but because there's not like a lot of context, it's hard to understand what's going on. But apparently there's like a mockingbird's type of sound or something that plays when he's nearby you or something. Like even he's, I don't understand.
I've heard people say that. I don't know yet whether that's actually true or whether it's just like background audio on customs that people are mistaking for it. I can't tell yet.
Because that's the confusing part for me.
Yeah, like he has a little bird, so like it would make sense. But again, I can also see people linking them together. Oh, it has the bird in the thing, so that sound, it must be that Partisan is close, and like making a false assumption there.
Okay.
But apparently there is a sound for like positive PMC karma. Supposedly, I've not heard it myself, and I've not seen any of the clips with it, and I probably should have looked it up. But I think like some people were saying, like if you kill somebody who was lying in a bush, then you get like sort of some positive sound.
Okay.
I'm not really sure yet. I don't know. But like again, it's very difficult to know whether like Partisan comes after you, under 500 PMC karma, and you start with 1,000, and every time you get the nasty noise, it's like -1.
Right.
Or is it like you have 5 PMC karma, he comes after you by default under 7. And you have to get above 7, and each one is +1 every time you kill. Like we don't know. Like we have no idea. Like is it meaningful? Is it not? Like it's all hidden. You can't even tell what PMC karma you have. It's impossible to know. So I don't know. He's silent as well, by the way, like Third Eye.
Yay.
Yay.
I'd be interested to see the long term effects of this boss / mechanic, because I guess the idea is to like cut down on bush camping / extract camping, etc. So I'm curious to see what the long term, what this does to player behavior. I'm highly skeptical, but I'd just be interested to see what happens.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. I mean, I don't really like it, if I'm honest. Like I'm not a rat that likes to sit in a bush, but sometimes I do like to sit in a bush for legitimate reasons. And basically just to go, oh, you're going to get negative karma because you're lying down, because I've had it once, right? Like lying down in a tree, in my usual spot that I've been in for like 5 years, doing Tarkov shooter with the VPO with iron sights, like having to get scav kills or scav headshots and scav leg shots over 40 meters. Like, I'm not going to do that stood up running around like a shift W Chad. I'm going to be like lying down somewhere where I'm not going to be spotted while I do that. And I was just like lying there trying to do Tarkov shooter, and then dung in the background. And I'm like, come on, like give me a break. Like it's not like I'm hunting. Like I'm not hunting PMCs. I'm not doing anything to do with extracts. Like just leave me alone. I don't really like it. I feel like they should tackle it in other ways. Like the transits. We'll talk about the transits for Marathon in a minute, but they're an amazing way to limit this. I think it's great. I actually think it's really good. But we'll talk about that in a bit. But like they should do it with their like the actual like intentional game design and giving people options as opposed to like preventing the gameplay style, right? It's like extract camping. We've said this a billion times. Extract camping is really prevalent on some maps and not prevalent on other maps. And that's because some of the maps are well designed from an extract camping perspective and some are not. You can still do it on all the maps in theory, but it'd just mostly be a waste of your time on most of them. So, they should just look at where it's working and just change it. But they are. So like I think the transits actually will help. So we'll see. So after Parmesan, actually, so the Marathon is next. I mean, we may as well talk about it now, given that I'm talking a little bit about it. This wipe, one of the big things is map-to-map travel. We've been kind of waiting for it. We've seen teasers and screenshots before of the work in progress. And they've added this new mode called Marathon. I did a big video about it, but basically Marathon is a temporary game mode where you have to go from one map to another map to another map to another map. So it's a little bit like the guide on crack. But apparently this is temporary. So it's a temporary event, this Marathon mode. I don't know whether you'll be able to do it afterwards. Like maybe they'll just leave it in. I don't know. But apparently like after the actual event for Marathon ends, which basically means the ability to get the achievement, I think, once that ends, the transits will become available on every map, like the normal map. So right now, you can't use the map-to-map transits unless you're playing in marathon mode. If you're playing in marathon mode, you can't use the regular extracts unless you want to finish. You can, but you finish your marathon at that point, so it doesn't let you carry on. But once it's over, then all the transits are going to get added. So for a map, the one that I'm most excited about is interchange. So with interchange, there's going to be another extract. Like we've wanted another extract with a condition in the railway section, the crashed railway. Yes. Basically the other corner of the map, not power, not Emacom, not railway, the other corner that's completely unused. Like people have wanted, and well, I say people, me and like a bunch of other people have wanted another extract there for ages with some conditionality. And that is where the transit is for interchange to customs, I believe. I think it is. And that one, what the transits do is they let you, they get you from one map to the other. And there's a small transfer window. There's a small transfer window which allows you to move some stuff over to the stash, a bit like the BTR. It's like a 4x3, and you have to pay for it. But it means that you could go from interchange, you could get yourself like a GPU or something, or a LEDX from, Ultramed or whatever. And then rather than trying to risk the extract, you could go to the transit extract instead and get your rare and expensive items out through the transit. You then load into the new map, and you just try and extract from there. But if you die, it doesn't really matter because your finding raid items have gone back to the stash. So there's actually like some good value there, and I quite like it. The issue now with Marathon is that a lot of people now understand, like a lot of people want to do it because they've added a bunch of Marathon quests that are really, really rock solid, but they are very, very lucrative in terms of XP. So we're talking from like the main first one that a lot of people got was the Therapist one. Where you had to go from Ground Zero to Streets of Tarkov and then to Labs. You had to scout 3 things in Labs and then go to the elevator in Labs to get back to Streets. You didn't actually have to use the exit. As soon as you got to the elevator, you completed the quest. But it was like 60-something thousand XP, 250k, a meds case, an injector case, 2 finding raid ophthalmoscopes, which can be useful for later on. So it's like really, really valuable. It got me from level 13 to level 15. I did manage to complete it on the first try, thankfully.
Nice.
You do have to use a labs card every time you go to labs using the transit. But because labs is the last bit, like you have to go from Ground Zero to Streets to labs, and you use the labs card as you get into labs that way. So, I had to try it a couple of times to get to that point. But the problem now is that because the loop is like completely linear, you can't go back from one map to another, right? There's no transit the other way.
Interesting.
So you always start on Ground Zero no matter what. Which means that the Ground Zero extract that you're showing on screen for the video viewers, this extract is now complete carnage. It's total carnage because most people playing Ground Zero are now playing Marathon. They're starting Marathon. So it's like everybody wants to leave out of this one transit point, and it's like
behind
it, like it's in the open behind a truck. There's like 2 guys wandering around doing like Ground Zero wine shop quests and stuff like that, and everybody else is fighting over the freaking Thunderdome, which is this open space here. It's getting camped like crazy. When I did my big marathon that I did yesterday, I basically was just like in the upper story of the kind of like cafe bit and just like watching people. I didn't even kill anybody. I just like there was a guy literally in front of me in the little kind of like bench area, and I just like let him be. I was like, he's going to be our canary. He's going to go forwards at some point, and he's either going to fight somebody or he's going to go up and extract, and then we'll know it's safe. So I just like let him be. I was like, we'll just chill. But yeah, that bit is now like absolutely insane. Mirror Avenue Hunger Games, as chat's saying. It's like it's completely bananas. So it's actually very difficult to start Marathon now just because of that. So yesterday I tried doing the Marathon. You go, so there's a bunch of different quests. It seems to me,
just to clarify one thing. So you say it's one way, so everyone has to start on Ground Zero.
Correct.
And then you go to Streets, and then from Streets you can either go Labs or Interchange?
Yeah, so Streets has 2 exits.
Right.
Streets Labs is the only bi-directional pair.
And then once you're in Labs, you can't, you just go back to Streets?
Yeah, so you go back to Streets, and you could technically go from Streets back to Labs. Like, the Labs and Streets is the only closed loop.
Okay.
In the whole of the process.
Gotcha.
Now, there's two big quests / big achievements for this, right? There's the achievement for this thing, which you get by doing the full marathon, which turns out you need to go from ground zero to streets to labs, back to streets, and then through the full loop. So all the rest of them, which is streets to interchange to customs to factory to woods to reserve to lighthouse to shoreline, and then extract out of shoreline. That gets you the achievement. There's a fence quest that popped up yesterday, which I think is a real bummer. Like they drip feed you these marathon quests. I don't know whether they've like opened them all up now or whether some of them are level locked or whatever. Like they should just given them to everybody. I think it's just really stupid that they're drip fed, because like if you do it one time and then they, like, some people did the marathon and then the fence quest appeared, and the fence quest is do the full marathon basically, but without the labs leg. And some people have already done it, right? And it's just like, now you have to do it again to get the fence quest. And the fence one, so the achievement is like the Holy Grail. You have to do the labs loop and the full thing. Then the fence quest, you don't need to do the lab section. So you go ground zero to streets, and then the streets to interchange, and then the whole rest. That gets you 100,000 XP, the fence one. I've actually still got it here. So it's the fence task. Where is it? Let me see.
From beginning to end?
From beginning to end. So that gets you 100,000 XP and a thick weapons case and like 400k. So we only realized that to get the achievement, you had to do the labs bit when I was on the very last map. So I spent like 2.5 hours yesterday doing the marathon from start to finish. Went through the whole thing. It was harrowing. And I was like right on the borderline of not actually enjoying myself, but chat thought it was quite good. And realized that because we'd missed labs out, I wasn't going to get the achievement. And we got all the way through to shoreline, and then a new task appears at the end on shoreline, which says, extract from shoreline as well, by the way. Using any of the extracts.
So you have to choose.
I went to path to shoreline, and I died at the extract with 5 seconds. Basically, it was 6 minutes and 55 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 seconds later, I was going to go to the extract to leave, and I got killed by some unheard guy training endurance, running from road to customs to path to shoreline to train endurance. And he just beelined across the map, got there literally as I was about to leave, and shot me in the face and killed me.
All around me are familiar.
Yeah, it was that is probably the most brutal L I've ever taken in EFT, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have to start again. And I didn't get the achievement either. Apparently you get the achievement as soon as you turn up on the shoreline, maybe. I'm not sure. Somebody said that you do that. I don't know whether that's true or not. There's lots of like hearsay on this. But the only saving grace is that there are a bunch of different there's a bunch of different ones that you have to do. So there's a factory one where you have to do the factory transit. And then you have to go to customs, grab a bag, which I actually I stumbled into it by accident. And then you go and plant it in them, because I was like, oh, well, now that I've got it on customs, I may as well just go and plant it in factory. And there seems to be two different types of regular marathon quest. One's where, so there's always a transit. So for example, Papal gives you one called Marathon Special Comms. You have to stash a military cable and a Bulbex cable cutter in woods and reserve. And then you also have to use the transit. Now, if it's a plant task, or a kill stuff task, you can do those parts outside of marathon. So,
and to clarify, to do marathon, you have to opt in when you go to the menu, right? You go to escape from Tarkov.
Exactly.
When that thing loads.
You escape from Tarkov, escape from Tarkov PMC, and then on the map it says marathon in the top corner, and then you can only start on ground zero, and that's it. So for Ragman, for example, there's one called... Oh, wait, no, I think I already did it. But basically, there's one where you have to, kill... Or maybe it's Jaeger. It's Forester's Duty, yeah. So it's, eliminate scavs at the village on shoreline. And I've actually done parts of that already. It's 3 out of 5 and 1 out of 5. But the use the transit from lighthouse to shoreline, that's already ticked. So I could just go and kill a couple of scavs now and finish that one. Same with the special comms one from Preport. It's stash the stuff, but use the transit from woods to reserve. Well, I used the transit from woods to reserve, so that's now ticked.
Okay,
then there's a different type. There's the labs one where you have to actually find a place. The find a place ones seem to all have to be done within marathon mode. So if you die during therapist's labs one, it all gets reset. So you can't go and find the chemical dome. You can't go and find server room and hangar gate. You can't just do that normally and then go and use the transit. Like, you have to find them all in the same session. There's a Peacekeeper one as well, which is scout Mirror Avenue, scout the passage leading to streets on Ground Zero, and then on streets it's like scout Primorsky Avenue and scout the Radina Cinema. Well, I did the first 2 bits of that, but I didn't go to the Radina Cinema on streets because it's like nowhere near the transit point. But when I died, that reset completely. So find the area ones need to be done in Marathon exclusively. All the others, like plant the item and kill the stuff, they can be done outside of Marathon, and all you need to do is the transit. So it's quite complicated. Like what you have to do when it's I don't know. It's just a bit tricky. I really want to do the Peacekeeper one though, because you get a secured flash drive.
Yeah, because it sounds like there's like the main marathon quests, like 1 or 2 of those where it's like do this really long route in Tarkov, and then you get the big things there like achievement and rewards and whatnot. Then they got like these smaller ones, which are kind of like mixed. Like you could, in theory, do it all in marathon, but you could also do some of it in regular, like killing, planting stuff, etc. And then the transits do it in marathon, but you still got to go to full path. Does it remember the last location you were at? Or no? Oh, that's right, because it is. This is one thing that I thought was a bit of a miss, is that when you extract, it just like loads in directly to the next raid.
Correct.
So like if you're going to play this and your goal is to reach the end of the road, the end of the path, which would be Ground Zero to Lighthouse, you're playing
Shoreline,
like
even
Shoreline. You're right. Yeah, you're playing like, what is that, 7+ raids?
It's a lot.
And I mean that, like at the bare minimum, you're talking like an hour, maybe like. Does that even include queue times?
Yeah, so queue time, and then the real kicker, you can't use the extract before 7 minutes.
Yeah. Like, okay.
So you're talking that's an hour at least.
With that, the extract just literally isn't open. Like, it's literally unusable.
Yeah, it's red and there's a countdown.
Okay.
So I think that's like 60 something minutes. Literally just of extract, just waiting for the timer to run down, and then queue time. For some reason, the queue time for Marathon seemed really short. You do load into raids with normal people, like they are just on normal raids. But I don't know whether you're like prioritized playing Marathon. You might be. Maybe. The thing that I do think is annoying about it is that, because you have to have like a bunch of time. You have to have at the very, very least 2 hours if you want to try and complete the full thing, at the very least. But I think it'd be tough. I think you need to like schedule 2.5 hours for it, personally. Probably more like 3, really, if you want to be like comfy and not worry.
One attempt,
And that's one attempt. If you get far, right? Obviously, if you die on Ground Zero, then it's
if you die on like Interchange, for example, it's like, do you even go again if you have enough time? Like, it's kind of risky.
Yeah, you can't really. It's a pain. So yes, it's quite rough. And I just wish that there had been an option when you extracted, it would take you back to like the main screen.
Yeah.
And be like, or like at least give you the option, like, do you want to continue or not? Like the screen would fade out and it would say, do you want to continue or do you want to pause? And it would be like, if you did want to continue, just load into the next map. If you didn't want to continue, it would like pause your progress. You wouldn't be able to play any normal raids, at least. Yeah, you would be able to like put the game down, because like right now you literally just have to do it in one go. You have to sit there and do it in one go. Like, you can't have to go and do something. Like, you're sat there playing Marathon. That's it. A lot of people have said like, oh well, it's because it's just for the event, so that's probably why they did it like that. But I don't know. I still think it's a bit
But this is the thing, is like, they talked about map to map travel, and it was like, I remember hearing about there's going to be some event, and then we saw it's like marathon, and learning about it. I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but like, why? That's like one question. It's like, why are they doing this? Is it just something to do? And I speculate they may be trying to test the waters a bit and see, like, maybe they're trying to gather how many players are going to do this. Maybe it's a bit of that. Maybe it's a bit of just more content. I don't know. But they've like,
do you want to know my theory?
Okay, let's hear it.
my theory is that this is going to be one of the ways that you escape from Tarkov, and that the end is going to be Ground Zero. I think it's going to be one of the ways, because Nikki just said escaping from Tarkov is going to be very, very difficult, and most people won't be able to do it. I think the marathon is going to be like one of the routes, and you'll end on Ground Zero. Like, you're going to have to go to labs, like get the key card to leave through Shoreline to Terminal, like Thingy Bob does in the Raid series. Then you go through all the maps, you get to Terminal, you swipe the card, and then you play like the single player, like end game Terminal mission, whatever it is. Right? There's some special thing there. That's my gut instinct as to how it will play out. So I think that it's a test for that. Personally, I think, because they said there's going to be a couple of ways to do it, but to like escape from Tarkov, like maybe you'll do like a bunch of Lightkeeper. Like if you go through all the Lightkeeper's tasks, maybe he can get you out. Like maybe you go to Terminal and you get out that way, like through this route, or maybe it's the beginning of Prestige. I don't know. So something along those lines. It's something to do with the end game. But like seeing people running around the map. Like there's a lot of people playing this marathon mode. Like I think the really good thing about it is that it's kind of like, it's actually like quite well designed. Bizarrely, like there's some gripes about it, right? Like you have to do it all in one go and stuff like this. But what it does is it kind of forces you, as an experience, like as a regular player, you can just not interact with it. Yeah. If you don't want to, and you just play normally. As an experienced player, it is kind of like playing. It's hardcore, not like playing hard. It's kind of like playing hardcore. It's playing like you're playing one life. Like one life with this kit is the game mode that you're playing, and it's enforced in the game's rules. Yeah, and it's really fun. Like I spent a lot of time. So I mean, there's no time zone selection, so I didn't really think about this beforehand. I don't know how it picks. Maybe it's just left-hand side. I'm not really sure. Or it always shoves you in the day raid to begin with. I've never started on Ground Zero at night, I don't think. But by the time I got to Shoreline, it was absolutely pouring it down with rain in the middle of the night. And obviously I didn't bring any MVGs, right? Of course, because I didn't think about it. And I could chat could barely see what was going. I could barely see what was going on my own monitor. It was like I brought the laser as well. I didn't bring a flashlight, so I literally was like running around with the blue laser, just like I can't see anything. Like feeling my way through from one place to another, like running out of water. That was actually the biggest problem that I had, was like running out of water, because Ground Zero, I spawned basically by the extract in Ground Zero, but I couldn't take it because it was 7 minutes. So I parked myself up in the cafe and grabbed a few items. But because it was such a cluster, I actually couldn't move on Ground Zero without like risking getting killed. So I ended up not collecting that much food. And the same thing on Streets. Like Streets is a great place to collect food. Like Streets has got loads of stuff. But I literally spawned, again, behind Concordia, in the apartment next to the exit. So I got like really, really lucky in some ways, but I didn't collect the food that I was expecting to on Streets. Because like, where was I going to go from behind Concordia? I'm going to have to like venture away from the extract to go and find food and then come back again. And I was like, well, this is just kind of risky. So like next time around, I definitely would have brought like a helmet that supported. Well, I actually did have a helmet that supported MVGs, but I just didn't bring any. And then I also probably would bring like just 2 Aquamaris and like 2 MREs or something, just to like tide you over. So I spent a lot of time just like wandering around, just trying to find food, and I eventually managed to fill up. And then on Lighthouse, I ended up like finding a bunch of drinks. Like drinks were the biggest problem. But yeah, that was like the hardest part, like the survival element of it. But like, it felt like everything in Tarkov was actually like working well. Like it's early wipe, food and drink runs out really quickly. So you've kind of got to like bring some with you, or you've got to go and like forage it. I ended up going to med camp on woods against my better judgment because I didn't really have any choice. Like trying to think of like where are all the bags that I know of, and like chat's like trying to come up with like there's a food crate in the top of like one of the woods warehouses. Yeah, and it's just like, okay, like go in that one. It's like basically all the like the knowledge that you have, and anybody watching as well, to try to like scavenge this stuff together. And also you got to bring enough ammo. So it depends on what caliber you're going to use.
Yeah,
like
because you never get back to your stash, right?
You never go back to your stash at all. So you have to like have enough ammo the whole time. Like I barely shot in the big run that I did. To be totally honest, I only had like 1 or 2 encounters in like 9 maps, because that was kind of the idea. That's like how you play the guide too, right? Like you just skulk towards the extract, you wait for 7 minutes, and then you leave. And the ideal raid is where you literally don't see anyone. So I had like a couple of close encounters. Obviously, I died at like right at the end to that guy, but and like I like tactically as well. Like it was really annoying, and everybody was like heartbroken, and I was kind of heartbroken. But tactically, I kind of like messed up, right? Like people run to the extract on Shoreline for 7 minutes, right? If you've got dailies to like extract twice, whatever, people do that. I didn't want to line a bush because of Partisan, which is why I was like near the extract in the first place, not in a bush. I was laid down, which I think was a mistake, because when the guy crested over the hill, I couldn't actually aim at him, and I had to crouch first. And the time going from prone to crouch is actually what killed me. So like I was probably in the wrong place, and I was in the wrong stance. Like I'd have been better off being crouched and better off just not being there. I should have been somewhere else. So it was my fault, right? Ultimately, and I paid the price for it. So, but it's like it's super intense. It's like super hardcore, and it's like, people saying like, I literally can't stop watching this, and I was like, this is crazy, right? When you think about it, like you basically watched me not fire at anybody in a shooter game for like 4 maps back to back, but just the tension and like the fact the stakes are so high, it makes it like it's much more like DayZ or something where like you've only got a limited amount of stuff, like you can't go back to your stash, like it's the true Tarkov experience. I was like kept fluctuating between being like I'm actually not really enjoying this to like this is like the craziest thing ever to like I actually feel a little bit sick, like I was like I haven't felt like this in Tarkov for ages, and that's why it's good. That's why the mode is good.
That's cool. That's really cool to hear. I really hope that something like this gets like more developed. Like, I mean, I think how they do it now is very intriguing, right? Because it is a sort of opt-in thing. It's like those that want a different challenge or want to try this, test themselves, have it. You're like queuing into other players who aren't playing it, but it like in an ideal world, it would be nice to, at least for my preference, to play with everyone who's like kind of on a similar playing field. But whatever, it's still the way that they've done it and the way that it challenges you. Because, like you said, you got to think about resources, like survival, ammo, like what do you loot, and I like too that they incorporated where you can like send stuff away to the stash. So it's like it's almost like traditionally you go in, you loot till you're absolutely full, and then you leave, right? I mean, there's of course caveats to that, but that's like the goal, right? Whereas this is like you need to loot for like survival, and then like any of the stuff that is valuable that you want to keep, you can kind of like send that off. So it's very interesting because it changes the way you approach the game and in a much more like survival-esque manner instead of a sort of like a moment to moment, what's this raid going to be like, etc. I'd be curious to try it. I hope that they keep it around afterwards, but you just can't do some of the events or something. Like, I don't know, but I would be interested to see this, like where they go with this. I mean, maybe it will just be about single player storyline, but I would really like to play like a real Tarkov, map to map system with other players, and it's like this is like I would be curious to see that experience on like a larger, because this is kind of like on a very small scale. It's like a niche within a niche, It's like this subset of players interacting with this subset of players. Whereas like if you had just all the players doing this and you changed some of the stuff a bit, made it more, a bit more flexible, or it wasn't like one way, and you different extracts took you different places, etc. It'd be really interesting to see how people play and like what that does. There's so much potential there, and I really think it would be very fascinating to play. That's something that would get me like hyped to try a Tarkov wipe again, like go hard in the paint.
No, it's good. I think the one thing that I would say is like the saving grace of this mode as opposed to hardcore is that when you're playing against other players, because you're using like your kit, it actually feels like kind of okay that other people are just playing regular raids. You're playing it on hard mode. You're playing with other people. Like when you're playing hardcore, it just feels like it kind of sucks when other people have got like good stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're like, well, I'm just playing hard. Like, and even it's like it sucks when you die to it, and then it sucks when you kill them too, because you're just like, well, now I have like basically traded loot, but just from someone else. Like nobody actually earned this. Whereas in this mode, it's like, well, I'm just surviving like what I have. Like I actually I'm probably bringing like really good stuff, like better than average stuff. Actually, I'm like kitted to go for a while. Like I've got extra food, I've got extra ammo, I've got like good guns, optics, whatever, good armor. Like I might even have a second plate, stuff like this. So you're like actually kitted more than a regular player, and going against like people just like going about their raids ordinarily, and you're playing like super cautiously as well.
Yeah, that's true.
More likely to just like be able to, I mean, you're just going to rat people basically because that's just how it is. But yeah, I don't know. So I feel like it's kind of okay. But yeah, I wish that there was a bit more like flexibility in it. But like, I don't know. I think on balance, we're like, it's just like there's other things that could be tweaked and incorporated so that it's like got more accessibility or more appeal. But as an event, like I think it's really, really good. I like it a lot.
It's cool.
It's very intense. Yeah. Some people have said that like Lean Bud in chat reminded me, but like there should be more XP. You should like and a few people have said about this, like there should be like an XP thing, so you should be able to like do the marathon, but it would give you like maybe 10% XP extra every raid, like cumulative. So by the time you get into the final raids, it's like 200% XP or something, because that would get people to then want to actually play the marathon mode, right? There'd be a reason to go and do it rather than like, why would you do that as opposed to just playing regular raids? Like it's just extra hard for no real reason. Once you've done the quest and done the achievement, like at least then it would give you a boost. Like if you do really want to like rack up your XP, then you could play raids through marathon and do it that way, which would be cool. Also, this doesn't split the player base as well. Doing it like this, it doesn't feel bad, and it doesn't split the player base. You just run on regular servers, which is like a lot easier. As much as I would love hardcore, yeah. So yeah, I'm gutted that I didn't get either the achievement or the fence task done, but I did do the therapist one. Did do some of the others, like a couple of the others that I've got like 50k, 40k, 50k XP. So I'm probably going to do those, given I've got all the extracts except the. Actually, I think I've got all the extracts because the extract from Shoreline is just a regular one. So I've got like all of the hard parts of all the quests, like the transit section, is completed on all of them, except the Peacekeeper one because you got to do that one in raid. But the rest of them, I just need to go and like plan some stuff now and just like rack up some XP. So yeah. Anything else on the marathon?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they've said anything as far as like how long it's going for or anything like that, as far as I'm aware of. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't actually know. A quick note, I'm just like skimming through. We actually touched on a lot of this stuff already. A quick note on the new hideout areas. It's like the cult circle, which is just a bit strange. You just like put some stuff in and then it gives you some stuff back. It's just odd. I don't really understand. Like no one knows the mechanics of it yet.
Yeah.
Like it seems to take longer the more stuff you put in there. Very Bad Scav's been trying to figure out what the threshold is. He was like, if you put 5 SKSs in, it takes 12 hours, which seems to be like the maximum time. So there's like 5 basic SKSs, like that means the whole thing's like over 100k in terms of like trader purchase value. Maybe that's enough to like trigger the final threshold. Like if you just put in actual junk, it only takes 2 hours and then you just get junk out. Over, 12 hours seems to be something, one of the higher ones, but and then we'll see about that. And then the other one, the gear rack. I really wanted the gear rack early. It's a shame that you don't just get a gear rack like one mannequin immediately, because being able to swap 2 kits around like from the offset would be really cool. But unfortunately, A, you don't, and B, it's locked behind the bloody wall, right? The wet wall with the bulging wall. You have to like break the wall down and get into the gym because it's in the gym room.
Yeah.
So you have to wait for that to come through because that takes a certain amount of time before you can actually then go and make the gear rack. Mine's going to be finished in about 50 minutes, but I already had like situations where I'm like, I was like playing a long range kit, but I want to go and play factory. Like I have to like dismantle my kit and then put a factory kit on. Like if I could just throw it on the mannequin, play a couple of factory raids and then just switch them so I can go back to another map, that'd be really good. I'm basically going to have I'm probably just going to have like an LPVO kit and then like a red dot kit and just swap between them. Obviously until I die with one of them and then I have to like rebuild it. But yeah, that'd be good. So yeah, that's purchasable. I mean, one other interesting thing, I guess, is that now that there's so many modules, that the various items are just like so expensive. All of the barter items, like wrenches, like measuring tapes are going for like 40k quite often. Like wrenches are like 80k. Hoses are still 100 and something. I went to the the new area on Shoreline, like the sort of ranch, like military base area, that one.
Yep.
I went there, managed to find 4 hoses in one raid and made like $500,000 just off hoses on their own. So it's crazy. Like there was somebody who was in my chat and I can't remember. I think they bought bought all their GPUs or something. Or maybe like bought, how many did they bought? I can't remember. They bought like a ton of GPUs and I was like, how did you make the money? They were like, I literally just went to Interchange to just like get tech items or like, technical items. That's it. Just get those, make money. You just make tons of money doing that kind of stuff. I don't really like doing the money runs because obviously you're not doing anything else while you're doing that. But yeah, if you just like focus on either Interchange, Streets, the new Shoreline area, like some of those are just they're really powerful for making money right now.
Tripwires are in the game.
Yeah.
And apparently Partisan can set them up, is my understanding.
Yes. I've not used them yet.
I saw actually. Let me see if I can find who it was. I think it was Berkey. She had a video on Twitter. Let me see if I'm pull. Yeah, here we go. Which I think it's just like it's a goofy little interactive aspect. And yeah, it's got like a little UI when you have it. I think you have to get it from a quest reward from Jaeger, right? Like you unlock it to buy. I think I saw.
You actually only get two.
Oh.
So the one there's like an early Jaeger quest called Rough Tarkov, and you have to find the Claymore room on Ground Zero and the mines on Woods, I think. And if you do that, it gives you 2 tripwires.
Just 2.
Yeah, just 2. So I don't know what the unlock is.
Someone says there's a unlock quest after Rough Tarkov.
Oh, okay. Oh, so maybe it's straight away. Okay, fine. Like, I haven't done it yet because I wasn't that interested in using tripwires particularly at this point. Yeah. But that's fair enough.
Is VOG 25 equipped? Yeah, and I heard too that you can shoot them. They are interactable, so that's if that's true, that's great.
It says that on the patch notes directly, actually.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, which is quite good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, and then this. Oh yeah, I do remember this because then I was thinking, well, could you because it says by hitting tripwire of any physical object, including player bots items. I was like, items? Could I throw my backpack and have it roll down and trip the wire?
I think you can.
That's pretty cool. If so,
you can.
I like that. So I'm pretty pleased that it's interactive. Like I was just worried it was gonna be the most gimmicky, awful thing. It's like the Claymores are. It's like I just see the terror in front of me and I can't do anything. I'm just like, well, hands off the keyboard. It's like, so I'm glad that that's not the case.
Yes, me too. No, it seems that it's actually relatively well thought out. Like that was the most interesting part for me was just seeing Tarkov's little placement UI. It's like, oh, this is Rust now, I guess. Tarkov's never had any of these kind of mechanics. You know what I mean? It's like there is no building in mechanics. So to have them build a little placement type thing, I was like, oh, it's kind of neat. Like that the fact that they now have that system, it gives them the possibility to do all sorts of random things.
Yeah.
Also, if you're thinking about mods later on down the line. If that's implemented in some fashion, that's so much easier to be able to mod, an open world version of Tarkov where you've got building and stuff. Can you imagine Tarkov but DayZ, but in the Tarkov engine as opposed to Tarkov DayZ but in the DayZ engine. In the Tarkov engine, it'd be pretty cool. If you were to build shelters and stuff or whatever, tar rust
crazy.
It'd be insane.
Probably so crazy. I can only imagine.
Yeah,
just build a skyscraper sheet metal shack on customs and you're just perched up there sniping people across
you got a huge effigy to Prapor at the top, with a flaming head.
Oh god, don't give him any ideas, Gig. Don't give him any ideas.
All right, so what's up next? New weapons: the Uzi, the Deagle, the SR3M, and the M60. The Uzi is interesting. It's 600 RPM for the basic one, 1075 RPM for the pro version, and the other one, the pistol version. There's a pro pistol and a pro SMG version. And the Uzi can be modded crazy, which is good. It's it's actually one of my favorite early wipe guns now because you can put a laser on and a red dot or some kind of little scope, or some kind of sight straight away, which is pretty neat. And at 600 RPM, it's uber controllable, which is really nice. There's a new barter mechanic, which is now really cheap if you have the flea for it, which is good. And it's got 32 round mag, so you can't buy more, but there's 25 of rounders, which at 600 RPM feels fine. The speedy one is fun. I would say it's a bit like the MP9N. It's on the same wavelength as the MP9N. But you can do all sorts of crazy stuff to this Uzi. You can add full-on stocks. You can add the advanced tube. You can put all sorts of things on it. It's nuts. It's actually much more moddable than I thought it would be. The SR3M, I've not seen anyone use it yet. I guess it's quite high level. BSG did a weird thing where they nerfed the fire rate on all the 7.62x30. On all of the 9x39 guns to 700 from 900. So the Val, the VSS, the 99 and the VSK to 700, just really weird. And the SR3M was still 900, so that was the top tier gun. But since then, so I did a video on it, and then since then, I think maybe they made a mistake. They've rebuffed the Val and the VSS back to 900, so they're like the way they used to be. But now the VSK and the 991 are 700 RPM. I actually think that's actually probably a buff overall. Right, the Val and the VSS are still like the premier guns, along with the SR3M. But then you've got like the crappy ones that you can't really make any better that have got bad recoil.
Yeah,
those guys now actually have lower RPM, so they're like easier to control. Like 900 with a 20 round mag is just not really usable, right? So I feel that's actually that's a bit of a buff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, yeah, I thought it was an odd thing at first when they nerfed them all to 700, and then I was like, surely that's a mistake, and yeah, it was. So I can't find a SR3M. Is it an assault rifle? Whatever, it doesn't matter.
I think so. Is it an assault rifle? I would have thought it is.
Yeah. Anyways, I'd be curious to see what those look like.
Then the other two guns.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say 9x39 is just always, since they like went from the de facto gun back in the day to like relegated to very niche strategies. They just felt like in a hard spot. So I'm curious if maybe some of these newer options, now that they rearrange stuff around too, because now you can get the what is it, the crappy, I can't even remember what it's called. You have to help me out, Giga. It's on level 1 trader now. This guy A9A81,
the 991, yeah.
Yes. That might be interesting. Like actually, because originally it wasn't like trader level 4 or something.
Yeah, like 3 or 4, something stupid. Like nobody ever used it, right? It was right. Bad. You can only get FMJ at the beginning, but it's not too bad, FMJ. Like especially at the beginning, given it's like level 1 traders. What is it? It's 75 damage and 17 pen. So the pen's not very good. The 75 damage hits like an absolute train.
Yeah.
And most people are wearing class 2 armor at the beginning. But then on Prapor 2, like somebody said to me, because I've not really used it since, but someone was telling me that they were using it with SP5, which you get on Prapor 2. So you get to that quite quickly. And then SP5 is like 71 damage and 28 pen.
Yeah.
Which that really starts to hit quite hard.
Yeah.
Again, like I don't really like it because it's kind of hard to control. It's like kind of more like DMR-y, but I'd rather use M855 personally and have something that fires a bit faster in full auto. But yeah, some people are liking it, so that's good. It's in a much better spot now, balance-wise,
exactly,
progression-wise than it was previously. So yeah, so that's good. The other two guns are the Desert Eagle in like a billion different types. There's like the Mark 19, the L5, both in 50 Action Express, then the L5 in 357, and then the L6 in Action Express, and then another one, the WTS version. It's just loads of them. Basically, like they've got different rails and some small changes between them, and they're really, really loud. They're really loud. I've not actually used the Desert Eagle myself. There usually comes with the best ammo for them, which is, I think is it 40 pen? I can't remember. I think it's something like 40 pen. Let me find out. Actually, it says here. Oh no, it doesn't say here, does it? 50 AE. It's the FMJ bullet, I think. Yeah, 85 damage and 40 pen. It's really strong. So that's pretty cool. Like some of the other ones are actually like pretty punchy. What was the most damaging one? I mean, obviously the pen's awful, but you've got which one was it? Yeah, JHP, the jacketed hollow point, 147 damage and 12 pen. So, like that's a lot of damage, as they say. That is a lot of damage. It's like it's more damage than like 45 rip. How much is that now? 130 these days? Where is it? Let me find it. Yeah, it's 130. So,
oh wow!
And that will kill people in 4 shots at 130. So 147. Actually, I guess we could do the maths. I can't remember what their full threshold was. Is it 660? Was it PMCs? I think so. I feel like shooting them in the leg. I don't remember at this point. But anyway, it's a lot of damage. Like this, you could technically leg matter somebody with this pistol if you wanted to, but it's probably just going to end up being a gimmick. Like the FMJ round is the best one. Head through class 4 and I guess it will one-shot... Will it one-shot class 3? I'd need to check.
I mean,
also, it's hard now because you've got like the plates interaction and stuff.
Yeah, but don't you lose damage as soon as it comes out of the barrel? You'll never be able to one-shot with FMJ?
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. It's not 80, is it? No, it's 85.
It's 85, yeah.
But
with the copper solid, though, I mean, that one's kind of 33 pin, 94 damage. That's pretty interesting.
I mean, it's good for stir-up, maybe.
Yeah.
You stir up with the Desert Eagle. Or you could use the 357 version, which is the Magnum, what's it called? Magnum FMJ, which is 70 damage, 35 pen. I guess it's nowhere near as good. Why did anyone use the 357 version of this thing? You got to use it in 50 Action Express. You have to. Just have to. Just need to. And then the other one is the M60. Like I've seen a little bit of the M60 being used so far. It seems to get like really quite low recoil and has the ability to be suppressed and stuff. Like you can put the QDC suppressor on it and things like that. So like it's because it's the first like NATO LMG that we've had. It is compatible with all like the 51 NATO stuff. So it can go. I mean, the ergo is obviously awful and it's like 10 kilograms, but it could get to like 70 recoil, and it has a bipod. So if you get set up with that thing, you can just hose 7.62 by 51 with like no recoil.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Which is just mad. It's just crazy. So those are pretty fun. The new guns, I think they're quite neat. I haven't looked at them too much except for the Uzi, which I really like. I think the Uzi is great. Like such an easy run and gun type weapon. And they did one thing to the VSS as well, which is quite funny. They changed the way the VSS looks and they updated it, but because like this is the reason why they say they always wanted to do a wipe so that everything gets like fixed. In PvE, everybody who had the VSS, the handguard disappeared. Everyone had to buy like a new handguard because they like changed the model and like made it invalid, so it just like vaporized off everyone's VSSs. So all the VSSs in PvE were like red, like unusable. And that's like the old reason why they used to want to do a wipe, because when you just change stuff in situ, like certain things just break and don't work anymore. I can see you're looking at bipods. There's a very interesting thing about bipods that I'm going to be looking into. There's one in particular that you can mount to like multiple different handguards on multiple different guns. So you can get like a long-barreled M4 and put a bipod on it and make it look really cool. You can basically make like actual like proper marksman's rifles type with like the big bipods on, like you would see IRL, and it looks really cool. There's only specific handguards they fit to. It's usually the ones where you can fit a vertical foregrip and then you can fit a laser at the front. It's usually that
bottom,
type. Yeah, it's sense. Usually that type that you can then put the bipod on instead. So I had mine on an M4 and it was fun. It was fun.
I have one on an HK, an SVD, a VSS.
Some people were speculating about the SVD with the bipod being extremely strong.
That would be very scary for sure.
Because there's like no jump. So you can just follow it just with 54R, which is like, that sounds absolutely terrifying.
SKS 12, the shotgun, or not SKS, what is that called? Saiga 12, the shotgun. SA 58. Yeah, it's interesting too, because then you could like, I mean, I don't know if it's very practical, but in theory, you could build a weapon that's, historically you would build it more for recoil, but now instead you build it for ergo because you just plan to use the bipod whenever you can. So like, I don't know, maybe in the SA 58, you could do more ergo. Or something like the M4, I don't know how much. Yeah, I guess you can get some pretty good ergo on that. Now I think about it. I don't know. It's interesting. So I'd be curious to see how that plays out.
It does seem cool. Ash just reminded me in the chat. Ash Riser just reminded me in the chat that there's 3 different versions of the M60, the E4, and then the E6 regular and E6 and FDE. They're actually on the flea. You can buy the M60 on the flea market, which is kind of unusual. You can buy the Deagle on the flea as well, which is fine. But yeah, you could go and like buy an M60 if you wanted to like check it out. So I could in theory. They're like 100 and something K. It doesn't seem like you can buy them from the traders, so they're just like Friday raid only, which is fine. So they've just got like a floating market price for them, which is all right. But you're actually able to get access to them. That's a good point to mention that they added the RD 704 back. They added the mutant back. They added like all of the 7.62 by 51 NATO semi-auto guns, the SR25, basically the RSAS. Gunsmith Rejoice and the G28 and the M1A, so you can buy all them on the flea again, which I think is fair and balanced given the way they've changed ammo. But things like the Black MDR they're still banned, and the Scar's still banned. So I feel like that's okay. The Spear's gone.
The Spear's gone. I think that was a big one.
Yeah, Spear's gone from the flea, so that's now a special gun. I wonder if they put the VSS back. Let me have a look. No, the VSS is still banned off the flea. I don't know why they did this. You can buy the Val. I said this in my vid. You can buy the AS Val. You can't buy the VSS.
Yeah,
very weird.
I don't know. I mean, imagine it's probably well, no, this has been like this actually. You could buy the VSS, but not.
You could buy the VSS last fight,
and you could buy the Val. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could.
I feel like it's changed, so I can't say for sure now. But anyways, it's But I think for me, the highlight there is they banned the Spear, because I did feel like the Spear was a little too good, and it was kind of nice that it was available in the flea. But and the interesting thing too is they ban the Spear's ammo off the flea, or they changed it somehow. How did they change?
You weren't able to buy Sig Hybrid anyway, but you now can't just get Sig Hybrid on Peacekeeper 4. You have to do a quest. I don't know what quest it is.
Gotcha. Okay.
But you now need to do a quest for it. But I mean, without the Spear, you have to find it like Kibba or something. But it just makes the Spear special. Like there's no this is the whole point, right? There's so many good guns in this game. There's no reason to have the Spear on the flea. You want to have some things that are really the top tier. Are they actually going to save you? Do they change your survival rate by more than a few percentage points? No, that's mostly down to you. But you want to have those top tier things not just freely available, because it's cool to not have that, right? It's somebody kills you and they go, oh my god, a Spear, or you kill someone else and you're like, oh, it's a Spear. I can't get that anywhere else. It's just good, right? It's good game design. And there's people that are, oh no, but I want to gatekeeping my fun and stuff. And it's just get out of here. It's just stop it. This is not the way that these games really should work, right? There's so many good weapons, it's You can still buy the Black MDR, and in fairness, it did actually get nerfed. There's a recoil nerf on the Black MDR as well, which I know some people are quite unhappy about.
Of course.
But again, when people are coming in, they're like, oh, do you think it's too much? And I'm just like, no. It was best for ergo, best for recoil, best magazines, and probably the cheapest price overall, because you don't have to mod the damn thing. Why should it be best in every category? It doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah. If it's the cheapest, most ergonomic gun, it shouldn't have the best recoil. The Scar should probably have the best recoil because it's got low ergo. It's that's just game design, right?
Yeah.
But it's a bullpup. I don't care. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's about balance and game design. People, come on here, right? So the people complaining about the org nerf, I'm like, that was obviously OP for its price point. It's so it was so stupid.
Not broken as in the game is unplayable. Broken as in terms of it just there was zero reason to use anything other than the AUG unless you had to for a quest. It was so good. So good. In fact, it was worth using the crappy site. It was so good.
Exactly, right? It's game design is about giving people meaningful choice, not just choice, but meaningful choice, right?
Yeah.
If there's 4 doors and 3 of them have venomous snakes and one of them has candy floss, you're just going to go through the candy floss door. So you need to give people, there's 3 venomous snakes. There's 3 venomous snakes in this one. Yeah. And a chocolate bar, but in this one there's 2 tarantulas, and then but there's there's something else. It's you got to give pros and cons to everything. We like pros and cons. So I feel like BSG are doing a good job of balancing the game with the changes they've made.
Yeah.
I've so far not disagreed with any of the balancing changes. I think that may be a bold statement, but I don't think I've disagreed with any of the balancing changes they've made so far. Partly because the balancing changes they put through were basically all the things that the community asked for. So it's it's kind of well, I don't disagree with them because me, Jesse, a bunch of people all wanted this stuff to be done this way. And so no surprise when it's been done, we've all gone, this seems good because this is what we asked for.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently the SA also got a nerf as well, a little bit.
Oh, interesting.
Recoil. But I don't know. I'm not sure if it was that critical. It's hard to tell yet without meta parts and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, the SA was already quite punchy on recoil, so I don't know. We'll figure out as we go along.
I guess one other thing too is the ammo. Some of the ammo got changed up a bit. So the 5.56 got a little bit less damage on some of the mid calibers, and the 5.45 AK's got a little bit more damage also in some of the mid calibers. I don't think anything too significant other than, if I recall, BT got a fairly decent bump in damage.
545 BT was probably the biggest winner overall, I would say. Do I have any in my stash? Yeah. That's now 54 damage and 37 pen. And when you compare that to... Do I have 56A1 here? No, I don't. The 56A1 I think is 50... Is it 52 damage and 38 pen, I think? So they're very, very similar now. Like BT got a buff from like 48 damage to 54, which was probably deserved, right? Like the 5.45 caliber was already underpowered because of its low RPM. So then to also be underpowered in terms of damage compared to 5.56, it just meant 5.56 was just overall better. Like 5.56 hasn't really been changed that much. Like most of the intermediate stuff, like 5.6A1, 5.5A1, they're all the same damage and pen as they were before. Like the mid tier 5.5 things have been buffed a bit, as well as some of the high tier, but not by too much. And then there's a little bit of buff to 7.62 as well, which is fine. But like other than BT, I feel like a lot of the buffs don't really do that much. They like make things feel a little bit better, but like Tarkov's very breakpointy, right? It's like, if you increase the damage by 2, like you can look on Xerxes' calculator on Tarkov Gunsmith, right? And all the fields are like interactable, so you can like tick them up and down, and you can like change the damage up, and keep running the simulation, and the time to kill is just like identical, and then you suddenly hit a threshold, and then it's like one shot less to kill. Do you know what I mean? Like Tarkov's like very breakpointed like that because of the like precise amount of armor damage that's done. It's like doesn't go, and then almost certainly does. It's like this sliding scale because of like the pen chance curve is very tight. It's like it doesn't pen at all. Yes. Starts to pen, will pen, guaranteed pen, and it's like very tight around that 7 pen band around the 7th number. So 37 pen down to 34 and up to like 41. It's like that's like 7 pen range is like very sensitive. So yeah, I didn't necessarily make that much difference, but
you effectively have multipliers based off where your bullets land. Like if they land in the thorax, even though your PMC has 440 HP pool, the thorax itself has 85. So if that goes to 0 because it's a vital part, you're just dead. Versus like your arms, legs, like they have a health pool, but when that goes to 0, you then take even less damage to that body part, which depletes your total health pool. Like Tarkov's system is very intricate, I guess, and so yeah, it is. In large part because everyone prioritizes thorax, head, etc. It's very breakpointy in addition to the armor. So like these extra damage buffs, like with the BT, I think it helps a bit for like distance, and I think even BS maybe it helps a bit for distance because you get some of the fall off, and then maybe you lose a little bit of damage because it hits the armor and then it's got to break the armor. So like it probably helps. There's probably like very, very minute cases where it's like, oh yeah, this is pretty helpful when X, Y, and Z stars align and everything, but mostly it's kind of just like, but I do think 5.45 needed a little bit of love because it's historically been like the early wipe choice just because it's been plentiful. You can find it scavs, you can find it tons of loot spots. It just seems like it's everywhere. And you typically, 5.45 guns are relatively cheap compared to the NATO counterparts. So cheap gun, plentiful ammo, it just becomes like an early wipe option. And afterwards it kind of falls off because the modding on the weapons, they can't get as good as some of the NATO ones. So kind of shifting that a little bit, I think is helpful because I really like some of the I really wanted to make the what's that one, the SAG AK. I really wanted to make that one work like later into the wipe, but it's just the damage on it is so weak with the 7 Igolnik rounds. It's just like so low. It's makes it feel really bad, and it's semi-auto. It's so Anyways, shifting some of that a bit, I think is good.
Yeah.
Good balancing.
Now, the one thing that has actually changed a lot about ammo is the fact that find and raid is gone. And now we have trader flipping. Like, this is now starting to become more important at this point in the wipe. More people are reaching the high level of traders. Like, I just reached Peacekeeper 3, so I realized that I can buy M855 and I can flip that to the flea. So how much was M855 before? Just off the top of your head, it was like
M855. Oh, it was kind of pricey.
More expensive than you think. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like 800 a round, maybe.
Exactly. It used to be like 800 a round. Guess what it is now?
2,000 a round.
300.
Okay, so there's a lot more supply.
Yes, because people can just buy it from Peacekeeper 3
That's
and just
true.
flip
Yeah,
it.
that makes
and
sense.
you can buy 1,200 bullets per reset.
Oh my god.
As soon as you reach level 15, you can buy M855 almost at the trader price. Like, it's not, there's a bit of a spread to it. I think M855 costs $1.50. So that's like 200 rubles. So it's like a 50% markup, but on quite a low base. So you're paying an extra 100 rubles per bullet. But 300 rubles is like, that's okay for ammo. And so I've been using 556 a lot because, like, normally it's very difficult to actually get anything good. Right? Normally you end up buying like you're finding stuff for 545 in raid, but like I've just been buying tons of M855 off the flea because you could just buy, and now I can buy it myself.
Wait, 300 a round? That's slightly more expensive than buying it from Peacekeeper directly for $2, right?
Well, Peacekeeper, it says $2, but it's actually like 150. So
oh yeah, okay.
It's more. It ends up being more like 200 rubles.
Interesting. So there's still a little bit of a markup. Yeah, I guess that makes sense when everyone's able to get this. Now they have limits to personal limits. So like oh man, this is so weird because now it's like suddenly it's like we went the last, at the start of the last fight, it was like very trader progression ammo based. It's like you got your little allotted M855 if you picked USEC and that was it. And you had to use what was like M856? Like not even A1,
or like FMJ or something.
Yeah, it was like some tier, and then if you found M855, that was the bee's knees. You could get it unlocked eventually. And yeah, if you found it in raid, especially, you could sell it on the market for a nice little flip. Like, but now it's just like, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious to see how. I guess they did change some bans too, because didn't they ban some previously unbanned ammos, if I recall?
Yeah, they've like shifted a bunch of stuff around. So the broad rule of thumb is that anything with 42 pen or more is now banned on the flea. Anything with 41 pen or less is allowed on the flea. There's a couple of exceptions, M80 being the main one.
Oh, I see.
M80,
right here.
M80 is banned despite being 41 pen. And I think you can get LPS on the flea, but can you get 762 by 54 PS anymore? I feel like you can't.
I remember you did a video. I can't remember the details.
Yeah, I know. I always forget. No, you can't get PS anymore because it's too high pen.
Okay.
So, yeah, like I can't remember. I'm not sure if there's any exemptions other than M80. I actually can't remember, to be honest. But basically, everything that's under 41 pen or at 41 pen is now allowed. So, like so CBJ is gone because that's for what was CBJ? God, I can't remember. Is that 43 pen or something?
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
I forget. So CBJ, because CBJ was really good. CBJ actually was like, I would say it was like tier 2 from the end of last wipe because you could just buy off the traders. Yeah, so that was 43 pen and 58 damage. So that's gone. The 762 PP is still there, which I actually think is kind of sensible. Like the 762 guns aren't really they're like slower fire rate. It's kind of okay. PP is obviously not there, but PP is. But CBJ is not there. I feel that's kind of a fine.
Yeah, that's interesting.
A fine balance. And so then obviously you get M855A1, sorry, M856A1 on the flea, and BT on the flea. So those two things you can buy. So like there's the workhorse kind of cartridges at like 37 pen you can now just buy on the flea market if you want to top up. But they are quite expensive because nobody's got there yet. But when people get there en masse, you can expect to see M856A1 getting really cheap, in my opinion. It's currently like $1,200 per bullet. It only costs like $3.50 or $4 from Peacekeeper. There's not that many people at Peacekeeper 4 yet, so there's not enough flipping. If you get there early, you can just make ridiculous amounts of money. Like Peacekeeper 3 has AP 6.3.
Yeah.
Which is actually quite good at this point in the wipe. That's 700 rubles on the flea at the moment. So sort of 600 to 800 rubles. It only costs you $2 to buy. So you could just like buy your allocation every
$2
every reset, and then just just pump it all out onto the flea market and just make loads of cash.
I thought it was free. I guess they changed that some time ago.
A little bit, yeah. I've been playing around with a bunch of different things that you can like flip. I've been trying to figure out like what you can flip. Some stuff that's like interesting to flip is like muzzle brakes that are annoying. So like the SF3P muzzle brake from Mechanic, things like that. Like those ones people will buy because they like find a suppressor in raid and they're like, oh, I want to use this. Right. Oh, I can't buy the muzzle. Right. I can't buy the muzzle brake. Okay, well, I guess I'll spend 15K. You could. It's not like they're outrageous. It's like right now the SF3P brake is 20K on the flea. And you could buy them at Mechanic for 6. So I can probably put it up for 18K and sell it there and just make like 15K for free or like 14K for free. Just like people wanting to use their like monsters or RC2s or whatever. But like you could just aggressively monetize your trade at that point.
Right.
Like you could do all sorts of stuff. You can barter for the Grizzly on Jaeger and then sell the Grizzlies. Part of it's just like, can you be bothered and do you have the time to do it? Because it does take a while to go around faff about and like do all this stuff. The ammo one's a bit easier. And also the flea market's not that busy yet because people are still buying hideout items and stuff. And a lot of people aren't even there yet. So the flea will become busier as time goes on. So sometimes
for sure
you're kind of blocked by slots more than anything else. But yeah, you can make really good money if you're like slightly ahead.
I'm curious, is like an HK barrel? What's that? Like what's the longest one? I think it's like 18-inch. What's that going for? I imagine that's probably in relatively low demand. And also low supply because it used to be Peacekeeper 4.
I'm not actually sure.
I think it's HK. Here, I'll find the name for you. 416, maybe. Let's see if I can get it come up. Yeah, so HK.
20-inch barrel. There's a 20-inch barrel, which is actually going under the trader price. It's only 35K.
Okay.
I'm surprised.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of stuff should shift as
like some stuff's expensive, some stuff's not. Like, and some of it's like kind of surprising. You have to find like niche things that people need but they can't get access to. Like anybody who's on standard finds it very difficult to get to Jaeger 2. But whereas if you've got EOD, Jaeger 2 is very straightforward. And so, but Jaeger 2, he sells the Lebev mount, the first mount for 30 mil scopes, for example. So you can like then sell them back for like 14K, even though they only cost you 4. Because people they want to use the TAC 30 and stuff, but they don't have any 30 mil scope mounts, and Jaeger's a real pain to get to unless you've got the buff from EOD. So there's there's like weird stuff like that. It's like little bottlenecks in the economy system.
I just don't know if I like it because it's like on one hand it's like, oh, this is great because now people have an option, right? You found a really cool thing in raid, but because Tarkov, you need to get the right mount and the screws, but the screws are on a different trade level, whatever. So, but now you can. However, it's that you're getting it from a player who did a certain amount of pre-existing work to get the trader unlock, and now is just taking that supply from the trader and just flipping it. Like, I mean, this would be like if someone bought, I don't know, it's a product, right? This is kind of like people buying like Nike shoes or something and then just like flipping it, It's like, I just don't know if I really like it because then the money's going to the player who did, they did the legwork, but like, I just don't know. I feel very conflicted because, like I said, on one hand, I think it's nice that, I could buy AP 6.3, but it's just, where is it going is kind of like I would rather just the trader just to adjust their own pricing. It's just my personal take, but whatever.
I think that's the thing. Or adjust like who they sell it to. I don't know. I feel like it doesn't necessarily matter all that much. I think, I don't know. It's just the game is slightly different now. Like, and this is the thing. Like, I don't think it's necessarily either. It's not either like good or bad either way. It just kind of is preference as to what the way that you like to play the game. Like, I would say like now the game is like less hardcore than it was because of this, because a lot more stuff is now available at level 15 for money. So you do any work for the money. Exactly. You can now buy the ammo that you want or whatever up to a certain point. So it makes the mid game accessible early for a premium. In the old days, you had to do the work yourself before you could buy the stuff because the other people weren't able to sell it to you. But other people couldn't monetize their trader rep and sell it to you. So, but it makes like, I think it makes it's kind of like, it's weird, isn't it? Because there's like two parts to it. It's like, oh, it's easier for the casuals to like get the stuff that they want. Okay. But it's also easier for the no-lifers to make like just a ton of money. I guess you could argue that the no-lifers are just going to have tons of money anyway. So if before it was like the casuals were at 30% and the no-lifers were at 100 because they just had all the stuff, now the casuals are at 50% and the no-lifers are still at 100 because it didn't move the needle for the no-lifers. They already had all the stuff and all the money and whatever, so it doesn't really matter. It's like giving the no-lifers extra money. Like money's not really the ultimate bottleneck in EFT at the end. So it just means that they progress through their hideout and stuff easier to have even more money and then just have like oodles and squillions at the end of the wipe. I think that's maybe it. So like maybe on balance it is actually just good.
Maybe.
I am torn as well. I don't know either whether it's necessarily good or not. Like I still sort of fundamentally disagree with the ability to just like make free money by just getting to a trader level and then just like flipping items. I just feel like it's kind of against the ethos of EFT, but again, it just changes the game a bit. And I don't know whether it's necessarily bad. It's hard. It's hard. I don't know. It's funny because like now EFT is like almost like more casual than some other games this, right? Both Arena Breakout and Delta Force both require you to like run a raid with the stuff before you can sell it. Like Tarkov could easily implement that system if they wanted to just stop people from flipping stuff down progression on the traders. But like Tarkov's system is also a bit different because Tarkov has it has like a flea ban system. So the only stuff you can do this to is like M856A1. That's the last round you can do this to
within that caliber.
Within that caliber, right? You've got M855A1, M9M5, and SOST at the top. Sorry, not SOST. What's it called? SSAAP. There's like 3 more bullets that can't be accessed. So like maybe it's fine. Maybe it just makes the mid game more accessible for price.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's something. Like I said, I'd be curious to see how this plays out because I think this is the first wipe where at the start of it we have this type of economy again ish. It's like similar but different. We have bans which we didn't used to have, and there's probably various other things, but I'd be curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I guess like the only other thing that has reminded me about this was I haven't really seen many hatchlings. We were expecting we might, and with the lack of finding raid in the container, and I haven't really seen any. Like, there's still people going in with like dirt cheap, like no gear. But I don't know. I don't feel like that necessarily. I'm sure there's some people doing it, like sprinting to rooms to get LEDX or whatever. But like, I think money is relatively easy to get. So like everything's worth so much. Like if you can get to the flea, you just make tons of cash just selling literally anything. So that's not necessarily that like. You're not really incentivized to go for like a LEDX or whatever. When a wrench and a hose is like 70k and 120k. Like sure, a LEDX is 800k, but like you have to do a bunch of work to get the LEDX. Like it's just easier to get a bag full of random junk and just take it out of raid. So there's not that many hatchlings. Maybe we'll see more later. I'm not really sure. And also to do the quests, you have to actually get them finding raid anyway. So like that system seems to actually be working. Like the removing finding raid seems to be okay.
So I guess just like. Going down the list, trying to see if there's FSR 3 now. Like they upgraded from 2 whatever it was to 3, which should be better for like ghosting and that weird like is it dithering or like I don't know, the real like pixelization. So if you, I can't remember if FSR 3 is only AMD compatible, but something to try and see if it helps you with your system.
Yeah. I haven't tried it even. I don't know. Yeah, I think I can use it with NVIDIA, but I haven't even looked at it.
Remember.
I guess we can just check whether you can turn it on, right? I mean, I can turn it on, so I guess it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was proprietary or not for 3, or maybe it's like a 3 point something. Anyways, doesn't matter. Then I guess the final thing to wrap up is sound. Oh my god, I watched one of your streams. I don't think it was the drops, but one of the day one streams, and I was like having a panic attack because I'm like, oh my god, there's a guy that just proned in the bush next to you, Giga. What are you doing? Like, why aren't you freaking out? And I was just like having a meltdown, and I realized I was like, oh, this is just the audio. Like, this is just the sound your character makes. Is like a proning sound. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but if you ever heard someone like get up from prone, that's what it sounds like. Like, it's such a distinct sound. And this was going on for a couple of days, and eventually they patched it out. Thank God, because that was like a big turnoff for me. I was like, I don't know if I can play the wipe with this, because it's just like, literally every time I heard it, I was just like, my alarm bells were going off. It was so distressful as a viewer. They patched that out, thank God. And just in general, the sound seems to be different. I mean, we're in the summer season now, as far as like the weather events. So the like actual environment sound, ambient sound sounds different. But from the notes here, they've changed some weapon sounds, and there's a line here: added splitting of sound subgroups and increased the number of customizable parameters for more control. Okay, like, don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's cool. Adjusted the frequency response, noise reduction level, and compressor values, as well as their technical specifications to match the specs of real life headsets. Hopefully that's all good stuff. It's just like when I read this stuff, just like crossing my fingers. Recorded real life headsets, I don't think that really matters. Position of sounds, distance awareness, sounds in game. Active headsets were notably improved. All headsets have their own unique equalization, resulting in different sounds for all headsets, which, I don't know. But what has been your experience so far with the sound? Because there was also, in addition to those headset changes, they've tried to, my understanding is, like, improve their sort of game logic sound interaction between occlusion and how sound functions in real life, because it's waves and that effectively bounce off objects. So how has that been?
It is very, very different. I've been asked like 20 million times what I think about sound, and right now my answer is just like the jury's still out. Like, I don't think we can tell early on. Right, we're in the process. Like, the gut instinct from a lot of people is just like, oh, this sounds awful, right? And it's like,
I've seen that.
Okay, let's chill out for a minute. We're in the process of unlearning the old system and relearning the new system. So like, it sounds different, so it's probably bad. It's like when you change your sensitivity or you change your keybinds or something, and you're just like, oh, immediately you wouldn't just be like, oh, this keybind system sucks. It's like, well, you got to get used to it first before you don't have muscle memory for it. So the proning sound thing was terrible. I am actually like slightly heartened by the fact that they just were like, oh, we've just changed it. So like, maybe with this like multi-channel thing, they're like able to tinker with stuff a bit more specifically than before. They seem to just be able to like remove that sound, which is kind of neat. I was like, okay, that's cool. But it's very, very weird. I can't tell yet whether so the headset, like the ambience is like completely different. So like good headsets make the rain like almost completely disappear, for example, whereas like super, super loud when you've not got it on. It seems like the distance is actually shorter than before, I think, in certain circumstances. So like, I need to do a full retest of how it works, but I feel like the occlusion zone, like opacity, let's say, so like how much they block the sound, I feel like that's been turned up a lot. It seems like if somebody's inside or behind a wall or something, it's very difficult to hear them, and then they'll suddenly like come around the corner, and then you'll like hear them clear as day. Like, I actually quite like it. Like, the sound is very atmospheric, I would say. It's like more immersive than it used to be. And it sounds pretty good. Like, especially like gunshots that are like multiple floors away or whatever, like through lots of occlusion layers. It sounds really cool. It's like really just, it's like, it's very, very atmospheric. Whether it's actually good for gameplay, again, like I need to test it and go offline. I haven't had a chance. Like everyone wants me to make a video about it, and I want to know for myself because like I've had multiple situations where I've crept up on somebody and I come around the corner and they're right there and they kill me, and I've had other situations where like I just suddenly hear someone and then they're round the corner and I die. You know, it's just like, oh, well, in that one situation, the guy knew exactly where I was from 20 meters away, crouch walking at minimum speed, and in this situation, I didn't hear a guy like pre-fire swing me round the corner inside a building. And it's like something is dramatically different about this. And like what I understand about the system is actually like getting me killed now because I'm assuming it's the way it used to be because like what else can I do?
Right.
And then I'm like making sound when I'm not expecting to, and other people are not making sound when I would think that they would be, and it's getting me killed. The other thing is that like in some areas, the vertical audio, especially in factory, just seems to be just completely non-existent. Like seems to be no occlusion at all. Like especially underground, maybe they're still working on it, but like underground, you can just hear people upstairs in the office or on the floor above. It sounds as if they're just next to you. Like there's no vertical audio there at all. And it seems like in other places, it's I haven't played much Resort, but it's just the vertical audio does not seem good at the moment from what I've heard. Except for when somebody's like firing, if they're on the top floor and they're shooting, like maybe because that's the old occlusion zones, the top floor when someone's shooting a gun, that sounds okay, but just from an atmospheric perspective. But like footsteps are very weird, so I don't know. It's very different. The headsets all sound completely different. They've added like 4 more new headsets as well, like 5 actually, I think. Like the Contact 5s, the Contact 6s, a load of like in helmet ones, the Contact 5 and 6s again, and then some new ones, Fariland something. So it's like even more headsets to make it even more complicated. Like the old headsets sound different. Like I keep wearing the Razors, because they're kind of like the in the middle one, and they make the ambient sort of go away. But I don't know whether they're just like blocking the sound. I can't tell whether it's like whether like it sounds good, but like am I just like nullifying my audio on PMCs as well?
Yeah.
Like I can't actually tell.
Has the volume been lowered, or is this canceling out the ambient noise, like noise reduction, like they said?
Exactly. I'm like, oh, this sounds really good, and then somebody just like it surprises me from like 5 meters away, walking at normal speed, and I'm like, huh, maybe it isn't so good. I'm not sure yet, so I keep like moving between different headsets. It's just
I can't
settle on something that's good
because if I recall correctly, the ambient typically, like at least for me on my system, it's like usually around like the 36 decibel range. So let's say the noise. Oh yeah, that's with the headset. I wonder what it is without a headset. It's usually, I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's so hard to say. I don't know, but let's just assume it's 36 for the sake of argument. If the noise cancellation is like geared for like the best noise canceling headset is geared for 32. So like now you just don't hear the ambient at all, but anything in that, 4 decibel range you also wouldn't hear. Like if someone was running that was like 37 or 32 rather, or whatever, 34, then it would cancel them out as well. Like that's an interesting thing I've never really thought of.
Yeah, I don't know at the moment.
I mean, yeah, I used to think they just like lowered the volume of like the ambient MP3, but if they're actually like have a effectively a little DAW, a virtual, like a DAW within a game, like that's so weird. A digital audio workstation that's like, reducing, literally reducing the sound via plugins or something. Like I don't know, it'd just be so weird. Like we've increased the VST plugin for these headsets in our virtual game. Instead of just lowering the volume, we're just gonna actually implement. That's so weird. I wonder. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I mean, I need to look into it, and then there'll be a video, and then we'll know what the deal is, basically.
That'd be interesting to see, because I think I saw like Pastelli put out a tweet where he said something to the effect of, this is like the worst audio in the history of Tarkov Life period, which is like saying something, because I remember playing Streets when it first came out, and it had, my personal opinion, the worst audio, because that was also when they did their first, they got rid of Steam audio and put in Oculus audio, and it was just like, oh,
that
and
was
there was like
bad.
So much, so if if that's true, it says something, but I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. as far as patch notes goes, I mean, I think that was like the highlights of everything. There's of course probably some stuff we missed. There was some hot fixes that came about, which we've probably largely hit over as far as like fixing or changing different stuff. As far as like the rate of fire of the Val and VSS, they fixed that back to what they wanted. There's one here, just like a plethora of items. I think this one was the one on the 23rd of August. This looks mostly like actual fixes, nothing too crazy in terms of like gameplay changes, like adjusting the lighting on labs, for example, AI refreezing. Oh, that was another thing I heard of, is apparently grenades are silent now. Like they just don't play any audio, which sounds awful.
Yeah, I actually haven't experienced it that badly. Some people have had it really, really badly.
Okay.
And
interesting.
So I'm not 100% sure. I haven't had that many nades thrown at me. I feel like they are silent when they hit, or at least I think maybe they got fixed. I'm not sure. I think there was some stutter when scavs were throwing nades or something. It's basically like scav nades in particular, I think. And they were like they were like exactly that. Yeah, fixed AI freezing while throwing a grenade, and so then it wasn't making any noise or whatever. The only thing about it that I would say though is that the scav nades, like, and again, I'm really fortunate that I haven't actually been killed by this yet. The scav nades are like on point. They're like world-class picture style. Like it's crazy. I've seen clips of people getting like letterbox through, on like in gas station when you're in the little like storage room at the back, and there's customs? Like people just on customs, and then you've got scavs like feeding the nade through the slot, and then it like air bursting in the room and killing people and things like that. And I was like watching Pestily for a little bit, just like casually in the background while I was like doing some like tidying up after finishing the stream last night. And he was like on labs, and then he heard a Raider shout, and he was like, "I need to get out right now!" And he like runs down the stairs near Red Room, and it's just boom, airburst Raider grenade, like instantly dead. And he was just like, "What the hell, guys? I've been killed." But he was like, "No joke, I've been killed probably 8 times so far by scavs throwing nades this wipe." Like they're so accurate that they just murder you. They just absolutely murderize you. So I've heard a lot about that. I dodged one in dorms. I heard a scav shout, and I was like, that he might have thrown a nade, and I like sprinted down the corridor, and then it just goes off exactly where I was earlier. So I was like, oh my god, you have to be so careful.
Interesting.
So that's a bit strange. But I don't know if they're still not making any noise or not. I don't know. Not many people are actually using nades yet. It's a bit early, so I've not had that much in PvP. I got vogged one time by one guy in a really unfortunate fight where like he just would not die to M855, and then I leave around the corner and I just see him going like hup, and I killed him, and then his vog turned up and just boom and just killed me because it's such a short fuse, right? Like you just can't get out of the way. So yeah, it's there's just not that many nades, so it's kind of fine.
One other change that I forgot to mention that we'll see, but they you can now actually use the scopes more than just 2 different settings if it has like so they added like, what would you even call it, dynamic zooming,
smooth zoom, I think is what they called it.
So you can actually go through the different settings of this scope, the zoom, and it looks really good. The only thing that I was a little confused by is because within the settings, I think the default hotkey is something like, it wasn't control,
Alt and then scroll wheel.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's the one.
That's the one out of 256. So yeah, but you can still toggle. You can still go, like, if the scope by default is 1x6, you can still toggle, which is interesting. I mean, there is, I guess, like, on this point, something I did want to mention earlier that I forgot to jump back to was, since they've added these types of mechanics where you can choose between toggling or you can choose between holding / smooth zoom, because this kind of ties in with the flashlights as well, is I guess the one upside to the scope is whether you do toggling or whether you do the zoom, the smooth zoom. With the smooth zoom, you don't actually do any animation related stuff. Like with the toggling, it does a little like click, and then it, like your gun shifts, which is seems true for flashlights, where there's an option now where you can toggle your tactical device, like on or off, or hold your button to actually turn it on, and then when you release it, turns it off. And again, there's no animation for that, for like the hold option, which I just think is like objectively better in that case. For the scopes, I'm not sure what the answer is there, but I don't know. It's just kind of, I would have thought they would have done away with the toggling on the scopes now that you got smooth zoom, but
yeah,
apparently not.
I thought they would have as well. I was quite surprised that they didn't, and I'm very glad that they did, because our boys have not. Yeah, I'm still waiting for a new mouse to come, because my scroll wheel is broken, and I can only scroll. I can only scroll down. So I can toggle to max like zoom, and then I can scroll out, but I can't scroll up from minimum zoom. I can, but it jumps down constantly. It's like super jittery. So like the down sensor's got something in it. I actually like opened the mouse, like compress air canned it, like tweezed the stuff out, blew on it, changed stuff. Like I tried everything, and it just doesn't want to do it. I don't know. I can't fix it. Yeah, so I'm waiting on the new mouse to fix that. So hopefully we'll get that soon, and then I can actually use smooth zoom, because I've not been able to use it right now. I have to like use the toggle and then smooth and then scroll up, but then it's like but then it's on Alt as well, which is like the worst key for me, because Alt is also my free look. So if I move my mouse ever so slightly, it free looks instead. But because I'm holding down a different key, then I get stuck on like I get stuck on a different key or whatever. Yeah. So this is you got March Tactical there.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty quick. It's quite good. I do like it.
Yeah, I mean, it feels really good. But I don't even know what my key is to toggle. I don't even know. I'd have to look.
Do you know what I think is the most underrated scope now? Is the Schmidt and Bender 1-8 at this point?
Is that the tan one?
Yeah, I don't know why it's so cheap. It's about the same price as the TAC 30. Like right now, it's like 48k, which is, I mean, for what it is, I think it's pretty insane. Like, you look at the Voodoo or something. Mm-hmm. Voodoo's like, Voodoo's only 70k in fairness. And the Razor is what? 77k. Okay, they're not actually that much. Sig Tango, what's this one? Tango 6T, 50. Oh, that's only 50k. Okay, so they're about the same price. Actually, fair enough. But yeah, I was buying these things down at like 42k, 40k, something like that, which I was like, this is awesome. And given it's got an 8x on it, you can just like go to 8 and then scroll it down a little to get it to 6. So like it's still cheaper than the Voodoo and the Razor, but you basically have that functionality. So if you don't mind the reticle, then it's pretty good. Like this March Tactical is like not actually too bad now, because you got the 3 and the 14 or whatever, so which is like obviously 24. A lot. But sorry, 24. But the 3 is like okay, right? So it's kind of usable. So and all these ones that had like fixed before, Hensel's probably still a bit much. So that's like 4 minimum, and then kind of a lot. But yeah, it's good. I like it. It's really good that they added it.
So someone in your chat pointed this out to me, and I thought something completely different. So I noticed that they had a new sensitivity setting for scope zoom adjustment sensitivity, and I just assumed that was a multiplier for the mouse speed when you're using the scope function, right? Mm-hmm. However, it is a multiplier for how fast the smooth zoom is.
Oh.
So it actually might be worth just cranking that up to 5 and then just using that.
Oh, I actually didn't realize.
I didn't realize that either. I thought it, like, I'm kind of sad that it's not related to the mouse speed, because that would be my preference. I would like to be able to tweak that setting, but whatever.
Like, how much is one notch of your scroll wheel at that speed?
That's
not even that much. Okay, that just gives you a much better control.
Yeah, but like I think it's more about when it recognizes multiple inputs. Let me see if I do one right here.
Oh, is it like a?
Oh no, you're right. You're right.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an inbuilt mouse scroll wheel acceleration?
No.
Kind of setting.
No. It is the notch distance, effectively.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Because I mean,
Cool.
I can't show you here because my keybinds are messed up, but the toggling animation is yeah, that might be. So yeah, that was the one thing I did want to close on is you can now give people you can now trigger people.
So you can strobe. So you can basically set up something on your mouse that just like toggles it on and off, and then strobe people with a flashlight.
You don't have to set up anything. You just
you just hold the button.
No, you just tap the button.
Oh, you're just doing it yourself. You just tap 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 tap.
Yeah, I'm just tapping. So like, I think I set to Control V. No, is it Control Alt? Is it B?
Was this your mode thing?
No, so I mean,
so you change the mode to hold, and then you just turn your flashlight on and off like really fast.
So they changed it from. I don't know if they're going to change the name, but they changed some of the stuff. So basically, there's this new setting which is where's it at? Tactical device activation mode. Okay, so let me put that on that key. Okay. So there's this new setting. If you look in the bottom right, as you seeing, it will say press or hold when you press it. Hit the key. That toggles. This is toggling which setting the tactical button is going to be. Is it going to be press? Is it going to be hold? So if it's hold, then now I have to hold my button to cut on my flashlight to use it. Whereas if it goes back to the standard way, which was press, it's now I just toggle it on and off. But the key difference is when I'm ADSing, let me find a good, again, it plays animation whenever you do the old method, the toggling method. However, if you do the whole method, there is no animation.
I'm amazed. So firstly, I'm amazed there's no animation. Second thing, I'm actually surprised that they put the toggle switch in the game as a change key. Like, why isn't it a drop down in the game settings like ADSs?
I don't know, but I do think it is nice because then in theory you could, you have the best of both worlds on demand, essentially.
I guess you could swap it live, I suppose, if you really wanted to, but I don't know. Bit strange. But yeah, they need to add an animation to that, something to stop it from just.
Well, I don't know how you would, because I noticed if you see here, it's my character is kind of jittering a bit when I'm on ADS.
Oh yeah.
But when I ADS, there's nothing, and you could see on the right side my flashlight, the little handle going up and down rapidly. I don't know if you can see it. It might be a little small in the video, but it's I don't know. It's something, Giga. I mean, I think this is going to be the way to play, in my opinion. Maybe not.
That is indeed correct. At least, so you can literally give someone an epileptic fit IRL as a combat advantage in game.
It's so messed up. There needs to be a seizure warning label now attached to the game, because this is kind of insane.
With the caveat being, at least it's not pay to win.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I at one point put on scroll wheel, which you can do, but it messes up a bunch of other stuff. But you could, if you had you probably could macro this. I can't be bothered.
Yeah,
which should be bannable, from my understanding.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh man, crazy. Actually, crazy.
But yeah, I think that's most of the patch stuff, as far as what we know. Unless you got anything extraordinary you'd like to share.
Anything else interesting? I mean, there's lots of random stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty much everything for the time.
I think that's the important stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Did you want to finish on Arena? Should we talk about Arena a little bit?
Sure. I will rant about Arena.
Yeah.
I played Arena. Let's see. So yeah, I messed around in the menus because they got the create a class thing, which I think is new, if I'm correct. And that was interesting because it uses a meta point system, which so you got the 4 different classes. There's assault, recon, scout, marksman, I don't know, something like this. And They do have certain limitations, like the marksman's weapons are relegated to DMRs, effectively.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I've only played around with it for like the CQB or Salt or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, actually, because I think the gear itself, I could probably boot it up and swap over. I wish that was one thing. I mean, it would be nice if you could just like swap between the two without having to like exit Tarkov, relaunch the thing. That'd be nice.
Wouldn't it?
I mean, that's probably a big ask, because the only other game I know that's like that esque is Call of Duty, but that thing takes up like 100 gigabytes or something ridiculous. So, anyways, yeah. So the classes, like there's something there. They got the meta point system, which is just a really funny name. Funny. I don't even know what to say. It's just funny that that's what they came up with, and it's rather large numbers, which was like, I don't know. I mean, it's like it just makes it a bit more like confusing to build a kit together, because, like, for example, the big one is like ammo. So if you want good ammo, it's gonna cost you more meta points, but it's like 59.4, right? But that's for one bullet of like BP, 765 BP. And when you drag it over, it automatically drags 60, a stack of 60. So it's like a kind of, it's like hard to really quantify what that represents, because you actually have it in a lot of amount of meta points. I think it's between the range of 1,100 and 11,000 and 13,000. I'm gonna double check.
Is that the total
here.
or the category? Because the category ones depends on which class preset you're in, doesn't it? So it's like different class presets are allowed. What were the 3 subcategories again?
Yeah. So there's like attack rating, which is like your weapon, attachments, ammo. And then there's your defense rating, which is like your armor and rig, headsets. I think headsets. And then there's like utility, which is effectively just meds. And let me get the screen.
Who cares about that then, eh?
Well, that was the thing. I was like, okay, this is interesting, but I just felt that this needs to be on windowed. It's going to crap everything, needs to go smaller. I just felt that it was a bit of a shame that like everyone had the same meds allocation, which was 3,000. Like there wasn't anything.
Yeah,
because that would be. I mean, of course, they could change any of this, right? I mean, this isn't like make or break stuff. But let me just go here to. That's not what I want to do. I want to do presets. And we'll just click on a new one. So you got, again, you're creating a class. You got this new UI. So we're on which one were we on? I have to go back. Enforcer, right? And with the Enforcer, your range, because like your total, it's got 4 different bars when you're building the class. There's, again, your offense, defense, and utility. Utilities, meds, everyone is a range from 0 to 3,000. You can't go above that. You have to stay within that range. The armor or defense rating, again, is 1,500 to 9,000. And then the offense for this particular class is 2,000 to 9,000. But your absolute total, your grand total, has to be between 11,000 and 13,000, which, the range of meta points is so grand. I mean, like this AK assault rifle here is 2,573. Like, I just like, how did they get these numbers? It's just like, it's very, I don't know. It's just, I don't like that we're working with such big numbers. And it makes it like, why is like, I'm always going to set my meta points target on the high end. Like, I get no benefit for being on the lower end, right? Between that range of 11,000 and 13,000. Like, I just don't really know. I don't know if I understand, but whatever.
I don't know why there's a lower bound is the thing that I don't get. Like, I don't know why there's a lower bound at all. Like, it doesn't really seem to make sense. Like, you should kind of be able to do whatever, I think.
A lower bound.
Well, like, why is it 11,000 to 13,000? That, like, What if I want to make it get to 6,000?
Like, but you wouldn't want to because you don't. You're just
no, but like it's just weird that it's.
Yeah, I don't.
Why not make it 12,000? You know what I mean? It's just
right.
Like just
yeah,
the upper limit is the only one that matters.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they wanted people to not be underkitted. I'm not sure. I really don't know.
I played with this system once to just right at the beginning, just to have a look at it, and I made myself a class which I'd probably use for Last Hero, which I was like, well, this is actually really fun now. And you know, also the UI is great as well. Like you get in, it tells you how to build the class. There's like, I think it looks a lot better than stuff they normally do. There's a tutorial, it tells you what to do. I was like, this is okay. And I made myself a class with the org, because that was before the org I knew got nerfed. But anyway, I made it the class with the org. 12,924.3 meta points. I was like, good, right underneath. But it's got a 6B23 body armor, which is much cheaper than the Karund in terms of meta points, but you can put the class 5 plate in it, a TC2001 helmet, and M856A1. So I was like, well, this is going to be great. I played one game of Last Hero with it, and it was really good, actually. It was really good fun. So yeah, but I like the fact that like now you've got all these you've got these unlocks, right? Like I still don't know the system 100%, but you've got an armory now, and you have to do certain things, like play with different guns to unlock different attachments, and you can then buy attachments with GP coins.
Yeah, it depends.
Rubles?
Some are rubles, some are GP. They got a progression system in there. Like, for example, I could buy this AFAC for 8 GP coins. Or if I had money on my account, because I transferred all to my Tarkov account, I could buy with rubles the Saleva kit, and it's like unlocking it so you can use it in your preset. And like same thing with the, I don't know where you would see this, but there is like I am level 2 with this AKM progression, so like I got probably more attachments I could slap on there, which is cool, you know. Like, I mean, progression, good stuff, all fine and dandy.
So I just had a look. There was like on the org. So I played that one game this morning just to see if I could get the Arena account to link, because that's my biggest problem is that Arena. I just can't get Arena to link to my main character. I had all of last wipe, and I have it this wipe too. But I played one round with the org on Last Hero, and I came third. So I got to level 4 on the org. And then there's a little triangle over the org on mine, which says like, oh, you've unlocked the one mount and this stuff. So it's like, oh, you've got something to click, and you have to like receive these things. And I believe once you receive them, it unlocks for all the other guns, doesn't it? As well, it's like you unlock those attachments for everything, I think.
Yes. Well, for that gun, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's for everything or for that gun. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was for. I'm actually not 100% certain. I thought it was for all the weapons of that same type, but yeah. But it's cool because it's like an actual progression system. It's like an actual tree thing, and you're like looking forward to saying, "Oh, I want to put this on my weapon. Like this looks really cool." It's actually good. Like I actually like it. And this is why people are saying like Arena's actually good. I just really, really wish. Why does it not connect? Why? Like you have to play an arena match, then you play a PMC match, then you play another arena match. So what? I've got to spend half an hour to get my 2 accounts to link back up. Like, dude, it's honestly such bullshit. Like I hate it so much. Like I'd love to play a bit more arena to like get my vitality up and stuff. Like I'm at the point now where I actually want to do vitality. I'm at vitality 2 and I need vitality 3. I'm like literally just got there now. So I'm like, right, let's play some arena. Oh, the account's not linked up. So the XP doesn't transfer over. Like, god damn it. Like this is the one thing that needs to work in the whole game. It's the one thing that has to function between these two things. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you thought you were going to be ranting about arena.
I don't know. I didn't really have that issue, but I don't know what I did to. I mean, I transferred money, so that kind of linked my accounts, because actually my accounts were different names, which I was like kind of worried about. So I booted up the main game first, and then I booted up Arena, and it wanted me to select the name, and I was like, oh, I'll just do a different name. And then now that new name changed my old name on my main Tarkov account. So I don't know, but eventually they got synced. Whatever. I'm level 3 on my Tarkov account, but yeah, I agree. I mean, it should be. It seems like something that's pretty important to make happen, but so just I don't know. It just like, you know, it looks interesting as far as like the meta point stuff. I mean, some stuff is really weird. Like I just don't like for like the PM pistol. I noticed some of the other ones you can like remove the rear sight, which grants you 4 points to work with because it costs 4 points to use or something. Like I don't know. There's just like now it's gonna be like And like, how do they determine these points? Like, part of me thinks that they took like rubles and then just like converted like 1 ruble, you know, 1 meta point equals 50 rubles. And then that's how they did it. But I'm not really sure because it seemed like some items, like some more niche items of like an M4, like the handguards, like this was a better option than some of the other ones, but it was actually less
right.
meta points. Like I don't know. I'm not really sure. I couldn't really look too much into it, but I don't know. I played it, so I played what I play. I played Bomb Squad. I'm calling it Bomb Squad, by the way. That's the name forever. And no, Blast Gang. Sorry, my mistake. And I played the big like container map. That's like on like a shipping dock thing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Bay 5, I think.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, I mean, unfortunately, all my keybinds are screwed, so I had to like mess with that mid game. But whatever. But the other thing that was like kind of soured a bit was that I must have did something wrong, but it didn't save one of my kits I made. Yeah, from Marksman. Oh, it says not ready. Oh, it's overpriced. Why is that? I don't know. But it's I don't know. Maybe I must have messed up something there. User error. Anyways, so that was a little bit of a bummer, but I just played with the regular Marksman. I don't know. It just like this just kind of like feels like what I expected. Like it's just Tarkov shoot gun, and like a lot of the stuff is just like kind of comes down to typical Tarkov gameplay. It's like who has the better ammo wins. You know, it's like I was like wanting to, like, I feel like the constraints need to be tighter because I want to like make a sacrificial trade, and like I said, there was nothing to gain for going under points. You know, I was like, oh, I'm going to use US ammo for the 7625 and put my points in other more important stuff. But like, I can't right now because I don't have this other important stuff unlocked, like an Alton helmet. So I don't know. It just felt like it's as if BSG was like, aha, we're going to solve the solution by replacing rubles with meta points. And it's like, it's just the same thing, you know? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm just going to min-max the meta points as if it were like a ruble budget. You know, it's like the same exact thing. It's just, I don't really understand what, I don't know. I think
this is the point, though. I think this is the point. I think it's like now this has been brought up to the same level as Tarkov. So it's like, yeah, Tarkov, you do the rubles thing, and then really you do the meta points thing. Just puts it in like a different context or whatever, and they can like differ these things without them being linked. But like before, it was like awful, you know, because you just had to pick some random class. Like now you can actually at least play the stuff you want to play. Like you get to pick, you get to choose. There's like brackets. You have to like decide where you want to put the different points, whatever. Like I think it's okay. This is like, I don't think it necessarily has to like reinvent the wheel. This is what they should have done right at the beginning. You should have been able to, you know, do a regular game mode, not just a team fight one. I mean, to be fair, like they tried team fight, it didn't work. Fair enough, whatever. They did the bomb squad thing, people like it. But the custom presets thing should have been there literally day one. Like this is the reason why I think you're just like, oh, it's just a bit like the regular Tarkov stuff because like it is. That's like, but that's how it should be. That should have been like day one. The first thing, okay, we've got the best like gun building and equipment system across like basically any FPS really, other than like maybe some super hardcore remil sims. It's basically the best weapons builder out there, and we're just not going to use it. And it was insane, right? It was insane. So it's crazy the fact that we're like, what, a year and a half later, and we've only just got it now. Like, and this puts it to day one arena. Like, arena's pretty much like only basically just been, you know, launched into its like actual form that's like a playable, like now. And that's why it just feels like, oh, I expected the system to be like some crazy innovation, blah blah. Like, no, it's just Tarkov. Like before, it was just bad, and now it's just Tarkov. So like, I think that's the thing. It's like maybe a bit underwhelming because it's like so basic. It's just like this is just the ground level that we should have had to start with.
Well, I mean, like, I get what you're saying as far as like if they should have had, like, I don't know. I would almost say that not like having, I guess you could do it either way, but it just feels like they did try to reinvent the wheel. so to speak, because like they couldn't use rubles because rubles is tied to sort of like the Tarkov economy. Like literally you transfer rubles and you buy these like permanent unlocks and stuff. And like, I guess that works. So they had to come up with a new system. And, you know, I don't know how they came up with meta points, but just like I guess what I'm saying is based off the limited time I had to play with it. On paper, it looks really cool, but when you get down to brass tacks, it's just like get full auto gun, get high pin ammo, shoot first, and then die. Like it just doesn't really play any different than regular Tarkov at like those levels, because you actually do have a fairly good amount of like you get class 5 out the gate for assault, which which is kind of like okay, like that was the thing that I didn't really understand. So like and like yeah, a lot of this is like okay, they can change this stuff, but I just don't know what the, you know, how does this play into the grander thing of Tarkov that's going to convince me to play this over Valorant or whatever X game. You know what I mean? Like, what's the?
I mean, yeah, it won't. Honestly, is the honest answer. It's just if you're a Tarkov player, it's like another thing to do within the Tarkov world. Like, I don't think this is ever going to beat out those other games. It's like the way they got people to play is by cranking the XP up to like 5 million. So it just makes it 10 times easier to level. It's like Scav Run, but 2. It's like Scav Run's number 2. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because I thought it was like this is the Tarkov esport, because there was like a sentiment from the community that was like, please give us Tarkov esports. This is the thing that will save Tarkov, and I just feel like for me playing it, I didn't enjoy the blast gang experience because it was like, you know, obviously there's a lot to learn, but because there's so much to learn, barrier entry, like you basically are forced to use voice comms, right?
Right.
Because there is no ping system. I can't like ping anything, and there is no map, so I can't like, for example, there has to be an established, like in order for randoms to work together, there has to be an established call out system to like effectively work together. Yeah. So the community has to make their own call outs. And to do that, like you need time, you need like standardization. And it just it makes the progress of like when I played it, it literally felt like 5 solos. And it was just like, oh, you know, I see on the kill feed that blue died over here. I'm on red, I can infer that probably someone died over there. And it's just like, but I don't actually know where I don't know where any of my team's at. Like, I don't know who's got the bomb, where the bomb's at. Like, it felt like just 5 solos versus 5 other solos, heavily defensive favored. It was a pretty, like, not fun experience for me. Like, if you want to get, like, 4 other people together and, like, sweat it out, yeah, I could see that. Sure, but like as like a solo, it's just like, oh my god, I'm just playing Tarkov and I'm just shooting my gun, and you know, the aim punch screws me. He wins the fight. Oh, good job. You know, you did the thing. You shot your gun and aim punched me. Yay! I don't know. I was not at all enthralled by it. It's just like very, very mid. You know, it's just like this is just Tarkov, but it's like they made this game for no one. It feels like it's like, let's take the established tactical shooter genre and let's take Tarkov and like blend those two things together. And it just feels like you get the worst of both worlds, because it's like you get the mid maxing of the Tarkov system where it's like, oh, it just boils down to put in good ammo, hold mouse 1, versus the tactical shooter side, which has like, you know, it's like I don't have any utility besides the grenades, and they're at the table, which is like fine, I guess, but I don't know. I just like all the kits have the same medical supply. Like why? It just it just didn't feel great. And then I played free for all, and I absolutely hated that. I almost quit, but I didn't, because I didn't want to infer some type of penalty. I don't know. It was like giving me a big red warning sign. That was awful. Just not fun. It's just like people constitute each other. There's a guy spawn camping, you know, prone somewhere on an air pit. Just like I literally spawned, died instantly. Like when you spawn, you just like fall to the ground and fade in. It was just miserable. Like if you love Tarkov gunplay, it's like that's the thing for me is like, who wants this? I don't play Tarkov to shoot gun. I play Tarkov for intensity. You know, like this is just not. This is just miserable. I just don't see how anyone's like, yeah, aim punch me to death. Oh, that was so poggers, bro. Let's go again.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a subset of people who, they like Tarkov, but they're kind of fed up of like the intense raid bit and the like, all of the dead time, and just want to play like the COD with extra steps. People who just want to play like the COD part. Yeah. Like this is basically for them.
But you still have to deal with the Tarkov part.
Yeah, but they like the Tarkov part. I think that's the thing.
I'll never understand it.
It feels to me that I don't think that Tarkov Arena is like. Well, to be fair, it isn't like this. Like you can't buy. Wait, can you buy? No, you can buy Tarkov Arena standalone. But like this isn't for people outside of the Tarkov universe, really, right? Like in its current formulation, you have to be in the Tarkov Venn diagram and be like one of the subset of people. Like if you just like Tarkov by itself, that's fine. You then, if you like Tarkov, but you're fed up of all the waiting around and stuff, but you really like the way the guns, you've already got like a lot of sunk cost in terms of learning the weapons and what ammos and blah blah, and you want to play a faster paced game that still keeps all that information in your head, then this is like for that subset of people. And then there's another subset of people who just want to get better at the base game. And want to use it as like aim trainer, which is like that's mainly me. I only play Last Hero. I don't play the other game modes because they take forever, and I don't want to watch other people play the game while I'm dead. So I only ever play Last Hero, and it's good for just like getting better at like CQB basically. And I think those are the people. But it's like all these people are already within the Tarkov universe. There's some people in the Tarkov universe who won't like it. There's some people who kind of only want to play this because it just tickles their fancy in terms of like just the crossover of like arena shooter type gameplay with Tarkov mechanics. And then there's the people who just like want to get better at CQB like me. I think that's the three sets of people. You fall into the first camp. The guys who play arena only obviously are like in that second camp, and then I'm like in camp 3.
Yeah, I just feel like if camp 3 is the biggest camp hypothetically, then this was just a really expensive like a really expensive. I assume it's expensive. That's the part I'm mad about is I just feel like they've dedicated so much resources to this, and that's what I'm mad about. I don't know if I have any right to be mad about it, but I'm mad about it. Like I would have rather you worked on anything else besides Arena, because it's just like it feels like how much they've put into it. It's just not for me.
I mean, I'm surprised that it's its own game, like a standalone game right from the outset. I'm surprised it's like so different that it has to be its own game. Like it's not just a part of like the main Tarkov game. But yeah, I don't know. It's I think that's the thing that most people were a bit annoyed about with Arena. It's just like nobody ever paid to have Arena be produced or whatever, especially EOD. And when they were originally like potentially going to charge people for it, it was just like, but even still, it's like resources from EOD, yeah, it's a separate team, but that separate team could have been working on something else. Like, I guess it did maybe brought in some more revenue. No one really knows, right? So it's tricky. Like, there's an audience, but it's just kind of niche and already like hits their existing user base. So like it could have been different. Honestly, it could have been different, but they did it in usual BSG fashion and released it way before it was ready. So like the big launch, which I was part of, right, in Germany and all this stuff. Like, if that big launch had been like it is today, maybe it would have been massive. I don't know, but like launching in the state that it was in, like they lost the momentum, and then that's kind of it. I mean, at least it's getting some positive feedback now. Like some people still don't like it, and that's fine. But there's a bunch of people who are really enjoying it at the moment, and its current formulation, and the fact that there's now unlocks, and you actually want to get to the next thing. You're not just like, oh, I can use this crap preset to get to the next crap preset because that's the only progression there is in this game. Like now it's like, oh, I can unlock more attachments to like build my next stuff. It's like a bit more like the Call of Duty preset style, unlocking system, whatever. It's like feels better in that sense. But I mean, it's never going to like have huge numbers of new players. I just can't imagine. Why would you play this if you don't already play EFT? This is the question.
I don't know. I guess that's the part that it's like I would have Like, this just should have been in EFT, because I remember them talking about Arena, and at some point, I think they were like, yeah, it's going to be its own game, its own project. And I think for me, that's when it's like, I just think that was not what I have wanted, because I just feel like what I'm currently getting now is just like, oh, I would have loved if those resources could have been allocated elsewhere, even if it was like, something as arbitrary as like, I don't know, new USET clothes or something. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah, it was, I think I actually have some notes. I think my summary is it was offensively mid. That was my summary. So I'll leave it at that. It was so mid, it was offensive to me.
That's fair enough. Yeah, not everybody likes it, so just the way it is.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll see if Tarkov, if I come around to playing it this way, but it might not.
That's the thing. You need your group, right? You need your group.
Yeah,
you're like a group Tarkover, really.
Yeah, I mean, I could do the solo thing, but I just don't know if I want to do that and hypothetically burn myself out yet again, and then 1.0 rolls around and it's like, oh, I gotta play 1.0. I don't know. So I might just skip out. We'll see. It would be nice to
slowly
play
just
to 15.
Dabble through PvE.
Huh?
Just slowly dabble your way through PvE.
Well, I mean, I was thinking something along that lines, but me as like a power user, let's say, I would probably do SPT again.
So, true, actually. Yeah, that's true.
Which I wouldn't mind messing with that again, because I would like to. I got a roadblock with the economic balancing project I was doing. That being just related to spreadsheets and putting everything on there and putting all the data on spreadsheets. And basically the roadblock I'm at is I got to learn Python now. So I'm just like, that's been a barrier of mental anguish for me. So maybe I'll pick that back up again here soon. We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah, otherwise, I think that's conclude today's episode. As always, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Catch you later.